and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Brought to you by Guaranteed Foods, official sponsor of Family Mealtime. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
I'm at a Thursday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. A lot of stuff to get into today and talk about. We will discuss some Chiefs football with Craig Stout coming up at 11 o'clock. KCSN.substack.com will be our guest at 11. We will hear from the Chiefs in their press conferences today. Spags, Tobe, Nagy, and we'll see what players will be out there today as well. And then we got some sports or leisure coming your way in the 1 o'clock hour. And have a little fun with Johnny's Tavern today in the 1 o'clock hour. $25 to Johnny's Tavern with some sports or leisure. And then tonight, Bears and Commanders right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And speaking of Johnny's Tavern, today out in Raymore, man, Dylan will be there from 4 to 6 today at Johnny's Tavern, giving away 2 tickets to the Chiefs-Broncos game and a Budweiser item. They got the reverse happy hour Sunday through Thursday, 10 o'clock to close. 50% off all liquor, beer, shots, and wine, $4 off select apps. They got the $3 off burgers, including the burger of the day, and other specials as well. So you can go hang out and say hi to Dylan today from 4 to 6. How about that, Dylan? You pumped? You ready to meet some peoples?
I am ready to meet some peoples, and we are giving away a Travis Kelce signed picture.
Nice. Okay. Will Travis Kelce be there?
I cannot confirm.
There you go. That's
I
the
can't
best
confirm.
way. Thank you. You can't confirm nor deny. You'll just have to go out there and check it out. Maybe he will be there. Maybe he won't. There's also rumors from the NFL Instagram account that Taylor Swift will be there.
Can't confirm or deny those either. Her people are very hard to reach, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It is difficult. You don't have her. I don't have her number yet. I've got Pat's number. I had Pat's number. I texted him about sliding down before the end zone on Sunday night. And now I don't have Patrick Mahomes' number anymore. It's blocked. He
Doesn't deliver?
He has blocked my number. I tried to text him yesterday. I was like, hey, I know you said that at the press conference, but that wasn't about me, right? Right? Maybe it was. I'm not sure. But Sports or Leisure coming up today in the 1 o'clock hour. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810, text line to join us today. To weigh in on the different things we've got going on. We will talk some NFL football, certainly, as we talked about. We will talk some baseball, too. I want to start with this. You know, last night the Major League Baseball playoffs continue, and the wild card round is wrapped up. It's over. 4 sweeps across the board. There is no Game 3 today / tomorrow in Major League Baseball. The playoffs get back underway on Saturday. And a couple of things from last night. One in a bigger picture in terms of baseball. Another one specifically as it relates sort of to the Royals. And the idea from the wild card that you play 162 and then it comes down to one game that's incredibly random in a one-game series that maybe you throw in a 3-game series and now you got an opportunity to make up for a one-game random sample size in baseball. And I don't know, man, the 3-game series, even the 5-game series when people were talking about, 5-game series, some random stuff happens in baseball. Is 7 games the best way to go in all these series? The 3-game series feels just as random as the 1-game wild card without the really high energy / sense of urgency on almost every pitch that we got with a 1-game wild card. Now, if my team were to make the wild card, I'd like the 3-game series. I'd like to have a couple of chances to be able to win that series rather than just one game and you lost and you had a bad outing from this guy and, one bad pitch results in the game being over. And, okay, well, now you got a couple more chances. You go and win the next 2 games, you still are able to move on. But it just feels like it was, without having a team in the games, just felt like it lacked that true sort of feel of a Game 7 type that you have created a Game 7 in these wild card games that you can win a series, and we didn't really get that. That's the bigger picture, and maybe next year after that, moving forward, we'll have some more game threes, but I don't know if there's anything to the, win game one, win game two, get out of there, a couple of road teams as well. So we'll continue watching the Major League Baseball playoffs, and we'll see if the American League East can show out a little bit better than they have in the wild card games when they went 0-4. And that's my next point on what we've seen so far early on, and early on is in 2 days. But the last 2 years, the Tampa Bay Rays have played in the wild card series, and they've been swept 2-0 in both of those. They were in the divisional series in 2021, and they lost in 4 games, 3-1. That comes after they had played in the World Series in 2020, in which they lost in 6 games. And it is this conversation/debate that's gone on between, would you rather be the Rays or would you rather be the Royals? And even the Twins, throw them in there, because the Twins finally won a playoff game and a series since winning the World Series in 91. They had, 18, 19 straight losses in the playoffs? So they wrapped that up yesterday, or on Tuesday. They ended that streak. And then yesterday in the streak of not being able to win a series, and they move on. So it's the Rays and Twins and different ways of going about building your franchise. And would you rather be the Royals or the Rays? Clearly you'd rather be the Royals than the Twins, because the Royals have, whether you make the playoffs or not, the Royals have the World Series banner. They have 2 of them. They also have a World Series ring. They've got a couple of American League banners, and they've got some pennants, and they've got the World Series ring. So Royals over Twins, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the Rays have been an interesting discussion, because the Rays, in their time, going back to 2008, when they made the playoffs for the first time, they've been to 2 World Series. The Royals have been to 2 World Series. But unlike the Royals, the Rays have been to 9 different playoffs. The Royals have been to 2. Made the playoffs in both of them, 14 and 15, or made the World Series in both of them, 14 and 15, won the World Series in 15. But the question then comes, what would you rather? Would you rather be the Rays, where you win during the regular season, and then it gets to the postseason, the whole buildup is to get to the playoffs, and then nothing materializes? I mean, since they lost in 6 games in the World Series, they have won 1 game in the playoffs in the last 3 years. They lost 3-1 in the American League Divisional Series in 2021, and they have lost 2-0, 2-0 the last 2 years. They are 1-7 in the postseason since competing in the World Series. Now, that is a small market payroll in the Rays and their way of going about it, and the Royals certainly have looked at that formula along with the Twins and Guardians and different smaller payroll clubs, and looked at the formula as to how to build your team. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at that formula and how to build an organization. I think there are 2 ways to sort of look at this. One is building the organization. What's the best way to go about it? Is the best way to go about it of homegrown, make some trades, and hope that it all comes together and you get this collection of players that are just special, man, that are just a group of guys that somehow the puzzle pieces all fit? That it is the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The Padres are the exact opposite. The Padres, you can chop up and piece out and get way more out of what you got from that team this year. The Royals in 14, 15, 16, whatever, they were the exact opposite. You couldn't piece out the Royals and get anything more, anything close to what you got as a team when you went to the World Series twice. The whole was greater than the sum of its parts in that Royals organization in 14 or 15. So there's a couple of ways of building it and going about it. I am perfectly fine with the Rays approach, the Twins approach, in terms of building an organization. Will it work in the playoffs? It might have worked without the Rays having some injuries and having Wander Franco going through what he's going through. You take their best player out of the lineup, it's rough. But they also were 1 inning away last night from tying the all-time record for consecutive scoreless innings in the playoffs. Longest inning streak without a run in Major League postseason history was 34 with the Dodgers in 1966 and 1974. 34 straight innings without scoring a run. The Rays entered the 7th inning with 33 straight. If they get shut out in the 7th inning last night, they tie the Dodgers. They scored a run in the 7th inning. So they have the second longest streak in Major League Baseball history of innings without scoring a run with 33 from last year to this year. Certainly would make a difference if you add in, some of the players that were missing. Wander Franco, obviously, being the main one there. But the difference between building the organization and then what would you rather take in the success of an organization, what are you playing the game for? Are you playing the game for regular season success? Are you playing the game to try to win 90 games? You're playing the games to try to win a pennant. And so, yeah, it's great for the Rays and their fans, showing up or not. And the picture that they showed after Tuesday's game of the Royals had more fans on that Sunday game against the Yankees than the Rays did in the first game of the wild card series, which is wild. But it is also not a surprise with what we've seen from the Rays and whether they like the stadium, don't like the stadium in Tampa, whatever it is. There was also the conversation around the Braves in the 90s that, they're not selling out the stadium in Atlanta late in that run because, they'll make the playoffs, but they won't do anything. That just sounds like a terrible existence. To watch a team go and win 100 games and go, but what does it matter? Because they're going to lose in the playoffs anyway. Thankfully, we don't. The Rays, you know what? I'm watching the, on ESPN right now, they're showing highlights of the Bengals and their offensive struggles. And I'm thinking about that. Like, before the Bengals went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago and then the AFC Championship game last year, the Bengals were like the poster child of getting to the playoffs and losing. Like, the Rays and Bengals have a very similar stretch of success to where you have a lot of regular season success and then you can't figure it out in the postseason. And the Bengals would, go to the playoffs and lose, 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 go to the playoffs and lose. Then they had a rough stretch to get Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Then they go to the playoffs, go to the Super Bowl, go to the AFC Championship game. We'll see what they do this year. But the Rays are very much like that. They've got a couple of World Series appearances. But they've also only won 3 World Series games. The Royals have won 7 World Series games in that stretch of only 2 years. So I'll take the Royals' success. That's fun. You won 99 games. You won 86 last year. You won 100 games. You played 667 baseball in a 60-game season. You won 40 games. Went to the World Series that year. That's awesome. They've been the American League Championship Series twice. They've been to the World Series twice since 2008. So have the Royals. The difference is there's a pennant that's flying. There's a flag that's flying out there at Kauffman because they won the World Series. That's what it's about. The Royals' success and lack thereof year after year after year, then it becomes old hat and you get spoiled and you get tired of, just crazy to think, you get tired of the regular season success and then it not amounting to anything when you get to the postseason and there's still nothing to show for it for the Rays in terms of a World Series, which is what it's all about. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some NFL football. We'll talk some Chiefs football. The wide receiver conversation continues to permeate. That was the real subject of yesterday's press conferences with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and part of it was that Rashee Rice was going to be out there at the podium. But wide receivers have been a hot topic around here, and so we'll talk about that. And then also, Patrick Mahomes discussed his struggles so far this year, and I want to put that into comparison from what we're seeing with Patrick Mahomes related to his entire career. What does this stretch look like compared to Patrick Mahomes' entire career. We'll get into that on the other side of the break. We'll talk with Craig Stout at 11 o'clock. We got Chiefs press conferences around 11:45, 11:50. Sports or Leisure at 1 o'clock, 913-912-4810. That is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We will talk with Craig Stout coming up at 11 o'clock. We will also play some sports or leisure coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs at about 11:45, 11:50 or so. Some coordinators and players will be there at the podium. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us, 913-912-4810. Text says, if I show up in Raymore, can Dylan bring my gift card from a few weeks ago? That's asking a lot, man. Come on. You guys got stuff to do. You guys very busy. Text says, the Bengals were the poster child. How about the Chiefs until we got Patrick Mahomes? Pat made us forget all about the playoff failures, which totally get. But the Bengals, if you remember with Marvin Lewis, they made the playoffs 6 out of 7 years and lost in the wild card round every single time. In a 7-year span, 6 playoffs, 0-6. And that's different than since the Buffalo Bills game in 93/January of 94, but no, going to the playoffs in 95 and 97 and not winning, and then 03 and 6 and was it 9 or 11, whatever, and not winning, and then, with Alex Smith a couple of times or a few times. That was just a stretch of continuous, you get to the playoffs and you lose, you get to the playoffs and you lose. The Chiefs was over a longer extended time in football. The Bengals were truncated in 7 years. Get there and lose, get there and lose, get there and lose. And they fired Marvin Lewis for it. And they brought in other guys, and they weren't very good. And now Zach Taylor, the last couple of years, has them in the AFC Championship game in back-to-back years. 913-912-4810 is the text line. I wanted to talk about the wide receivers because I think it connects to what I wanted to bring up with Patrick Mahomes. And, the old saying, damning with faint praise, whatever the opposite of that is, I want to get into for Patrick Mahomes. But this was a tweet that was sent to Soren Petro yesterday morning by Mark Knopke. Sorry, Mark, I apologize. But through week 4 of the 2022 season and week 4 of the 2023 season, wide receivers only, with the targets, receptions, the yards, the touchdowns, and how much different is it really last year to this year? And it's pretty fascinating, honestly, if you look at, what has been going on this year and what went on a year ago. So in 2022, the wide receivers had 72 targets. And in 2023, the wide receivers have 74 targets. And Sren talked about this yesterday, and I think there's a couple of differences. One Sren pointed out, and I think there's another layer to it. The receptions, 2022, 45 for wide receivers, 2023, 45 for wide receivers. Yards, 2022, 574. This year, 588. So 14 more receiving yards this year. The same number of receptions and 2 more targets. 2 touchdowns last year, 2 touchdowns this year. That was pretty fascinating to see because it feels like the wide receiver group is different than a year ago. Sren pointed out, okay, well, let's look at what Travis Kelce has done last year and this year. And in 2022, he had 34 targets. This year, 26. Last year, 26 receptions. This year, 17. There is a game that he missed, but that's part of the overall point is, if he misses a game, then what do you have? Yards, last year, 322. This year, 155. I mean, half. And then last year, 3 touchdowns. This year, 2 touchdowns. So the production is down from the skill position players, but the wide receivers specifically, the production is not down. It comes in the form of Travis Kelce's production being down. But the layer that I want to add to it is the Juju Smith-Schuster part of it. Because last year, Juju Smith-Schuster, if you're looking at targets and receptions and things like that, last year, Juju Smith-Schuster, in the first 4 weeks, if you're looking at targets, got 37.5% of the target share. So 38% of the target share for Juju last year of all the wide receivers. Receptions of all the wide receivers, 42% of the receptions for wide receivers specifically went to Juju Smith-Schuster. The yards, 40% of the yards went to Juju Smith-Schuster. And so last year, did it feel like the wide receiver group was all that bad because Travis Kelce was doing his typical Travis Kelce thing, and the Chiefs had a guy who it felt like they could go to when need be? That Mahomes could throw him the football when need be. He'd be where he needed to be. There would be that trust, and he was productive. Touchdowns, 0. So he had 0% of the touchdowns last year. Did Juju Smith-Schuster. And when you look at this year, it's pretty balanced. The targets, Travis Kelce, 26. But the wide receivers, 19, 15, 13, 13, 13, 12. 9. Those are the wide receivers' targets. Wide receiver receptions. 13, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yards from the wide receivers, 163, 140, 112, 104, 57. There wasn't one guy that was getting 40% of the share, the target share, the receptions, the yards, not necessarily the touchdowns. Is that the difference? Then we look at it and go, well, it's so spread out. Can Mahomes trust one guy? And I don't know if that I'd have to go back and look at the first 4 games. But is the difference that on like second or third down, he throws to Juju, he catches the ball, they move the chains and extend a drive. Where this one, it's third down, he throws to Sky Moore, he's not in the spot he was supposed to be, it's incomplete, they kick a field goal. 2nd and 3, he throws it to Rashee Rice, he drops the ball. 3rd and 3, there's pressure, it's incomplete pass, they kick a field goal. Last year, if those passes were to Juju, is that 8 points more on the board? In the same game? Now all of a sudden it's not even close. You're talking about the Chiefs, being up 24, 25 points. Instead of 17-0, it's 21-0. Then you throw in 28, with the field goal late in the game when it was that incomplete pass to Rashee Rice and a drop. You kick a field goal there to make it 23-20. You're talking about 8-point difference in a game on those 2 drives. Field goals instead of touchdowns. So maybe those passes were going to Juju and they were sending the drive, and it felt different. Rather than this one went to Rashee Rice, well, that one went to Sky Moore, well, this one went to MVS, well, that one went to Justin Watson, and it's like there's no consistency there, so therefore the wide receiver group isn't good. Because the Chiefs have gone with Patrick Mahomes, with Kelce and Tyreek, Kelce and Tyreek, Kelce and Tyreek, Kelce and Tyreek, Kelce and Juju, Kelce and bleh. Kelce and Rice or Valdez-Tini Ross. That's the number 1 receiver that he has been throwing to. It was fascinating to see how similar and almost identical. The no chance you get that reference, Josh.
I barely know what you're talking about.
Josh just got in here, by the way. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Not just into the station. You
were doing stuff.
Emergency protocol.
Yeah, it's all good. All good in the hood.
This isn't one of those instances where I had to walk 5 miles to get to the show.
Yeah, well, you would walk 5 miles. You would walk 500 more.
I think I would have called it at 10, if I'm being honest. I think at 10 I would have gone home.
Well, you did that for the parade.
That's what I'm saying.
So you did walk.
I didn't get locked out of the parking lot here today or anything. I've just
you should have. But did you hear the numbers that Mark Knopke had sent to Soren yesterday? Soren started a show yesterday with these, and I thought they were fascinating. That what's the difference this year and last year? Last year we weren't talking about what the issues were with wide receiver. We were in fact talking about something different. They were fine without Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Last year targets 72, just wide receivers only. This year, targets 74. Last year, receptions to wide receivers only 45. This year, receptions 45. Last year, yards 574. This year, 588. Talking about 2 targets, same receptions, and 14 more yards. Touchdowns 2-2. It's the exact same. The only thing I can think of is 40% of all of those targets, yards, receptions went to Juju.
Yeah.
And this is being spread out evenly with 4, 5, 6 guys. And maybe it feels different when you've got the one guy you can throw to and supplement with others and sprinkle that in rather than it's Kelsey whose yards and targets, and Soren talked about this yesterday. The difference is Kelsey has 150 fewer yards. He's got 9 fewer receptions. He's got 8 fewer targets than a year ago. He did miss a game, but that's part of it.
Right.
It's part of it. You know, missing a game, being injured, and who steps up. Maybe Juju doesn't have that performance last year, the first 4 weeks, if Travis Kelsey is injured. I don't know. And also, Juju had a game where he had 3 receptions, 30 yards. But those first 4 weeks, he was the guy 4 times out of 10 that Mahomes was throwing the ball to when he dropped back to pass, and it was not named Kelsey.
No, I do think there's something, too, just from like an optics standpoint, subconsciously, whatever, where when there is a guy who can be the guy, I think this has some value as well, but having one option to take the funnel of all of the touches that are currently being spread around to all these other receivers, now all of a sudden you feel like there is a go-to guy, which I think, again, there's some truth to, because when you know you can trust the first receiver each time, probably makes Patrick Mahomes' life a little bit easier, as opposed to him having to look. Okay, this time it was option 3. Is my third read that's going to get me there. But, man, it was easy for me to look for Kelsey or Juju given a certain defense and know that that's going to be where I want to go with the football. I still don't know if Mahomes knows where he wants to go with the football, but the idea that actually production hasn't really been down is fascinating, because you're right. Last year we were talking about, look at them do it without Tyreek Hill. Yeah. And this year it's like, who's going to step up? Is it going to be Rashee Rice, my cousin Vinny, MVS?
You did it!
Thanks for the text, Dravetta.
Oh, son of a gun. That is not fair, Adam.
Adam, it was great work.
Marco, do not give him an applause. Marco Randa. Marco, get in here. Get in here, Marco. No, get in here, Marco.
Come here, Marco.
No, Adam Dravetta texted him.
Yeah, so I ran like a con on Jason, which I feel like is also worth a high five.
Dravetta texted him. That doesn't count as getting the reference. Dravetta texted him, my cousin Vinny. That doesn't count.
But for a mere moment, I knew what it was like for Jason to be proud of me, and I was so uncomfortable with that feeling, I had to immediately come clean, because I could not deal.
Well, this is weird.
I could
what are you
not.
doing?
I could not deal with the dishonesty of it all.
Yeah, you don't get a Marco ovation for that. No, sir. That's a dishonest ovation. Take it back, Marco.
A Marco ovation.
Rewind.
A Marco ovation is like a thing we should do.
That's where I'm proud of you.
See,
that's where my pride comes in.
It's just the puns.
You offering the Benevictor Holland.
Thank you. I'm not good at movie references, but I'm pretty good at portmanteaus. That's what I figured out.
I don't even know what that means, but I would hopefully that Kadarius Toney toes get better, and now he can put a shoe on, and then he becomes more of a weapon for this team. And maybe in 10 weeks from now, we'll be going, what was all of the hand-wringing about? No big deal. It's all good in the hood. No worries. This team is fine, and the defense is still pretty good. And, the offensive line has progressed and gotten better, and the penalties have slowed up in terms of how often they're happening.
I'm going to say something I truly believe, and that will, in its context, be obvious as to what the problem is. If Kadarius Toney's healthy all year, I really think he'll be the number 1 receiver, and this offense is going to look just fine. The problem is that, if I win the lottery tomorrow,
I think your financial issues will be just fine.
I would change some things. Yeah, I would be able. I would, maybe Renee gets to get her car fixed up. But that's
what if you still didn't let her? No.
Hey, well, listen,
money.
This is my money here. I want that lottery ticket for Kadarius Toney to hit so badly, because I do think that could be part of it when it looks different to the eye. That's another thing that hasn't been true by the wide receiver by committee situation. Nobody jumps out to you except for some Rashee Rice moments, and then Kadarius Toney with the ball in his hand. But they're so few and far between that you never feel great when the ball is coming out of Patrick Mahomes' hands if it's not going to Travis Kelsey. And I think that's different this year too.
What sticks out is the plays that aren't made.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Drops by Rice, Kadarius Toney drops, pick 6, guys not in the spot that they should be. A couple of times he's thrown to Sky Moore that he's done the McCole Hardman, like, hey, you got to be here, you got to do this over there. And
hand gestures after
hand
the play.
gestures of like, hey, this is where I need you to be. That's what stood out so far. Not the plays that have been made, but the plays that have not been made by these particular wide receivers. And hopefully that changes as the season goes. And I think there's a pretty decent chance of that because they are going up against some really bad defenses over the next 4 and 5 weeks. Timo Risk at Pro Football Focus put out the plot graph or whatever, and the different quadrants that are there. And typically when it's Mahomes, he's in the upper right-hand quadrant. This is one to where you want to be up in the upper left-hand quadrant because it was defenses and expected points added and then how many games you'll be playing against those bad defenses on the left. So expected points added from the positive to the right to the negative. The most times you played a team from the bottom of 0 up to a lot. The Chiefs are all alone in the top left-hand quadrant of how many defenses they play the rest of the way that are terrible in expected points added defensively. And it starts this week with the Vikings. He also put out like, hey, just saying Mahomes is plus 550 at DraftKings to win the MVP right now. He's the third betting favorite. Just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying look at what's ahead of the Chiefs over the rest of the year. And this guy's the third betting favorite. Josh Allen's at plus 380. Tua is at plus 500. Mahomes is at plus 550. You can still get, 5 times your money if you want to play some money there because his point was 5 weeks from now you may not be able to get that.
I don't think you will, and I think that's also because it's good offenses, bad defenses is sort of like that little perfect data point. So the Chiefs are going to have to score, but also means the defense is going to get tested, which I'm excited about because we're still kind of teetering on what happened last week and how much of that was Zach Wilson just finding his bag all of a sudden, and how much of it is going to be like, oh, Justin Jefferson made, maybe Trent McDuffie's not the best cornerback in football because Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football, and I don't think it's going to end that way, but it's going to be an absolute blast.
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I don't know what the opposite of damning with faint praise is, but I want to do that with Patrick Mahomes. The opposite of that. Okay. I'll explain coming up next. All right, so Patrick Mahomes talked about yesterday that, he's struggling, and if he starts to play better, then, the wide receivers will look better. And he said, I've had these stretches in my career where I've just sort of struggled, and I got to get out of it, go back to the fundamentals and everything. So I wanted to look, and Pro Football Reference is fun. So I wanted to look and see, like, the 4-game stretches for Mahomes and what he's done through these first 4 weeks. So a quarterback rating of 92 or worse. He has had 11 different stretches in his career of 4 games. Some of those overlap, but just a 4-game stretch where he had a 92 or worse. Okay. Let's throw in the fact that he has thrown 8 touchdown passes. So a 92 quarterback rating or worse and max 8 touchdowns, 8 or fewer touchdowns.
Okay.
That drops down to 9. Okay. A quarterback rating of 92, touchdowns of 8 or fewer, and interceptions 4 or more, drops down to 4. Quarterback rating of 92, touchdowns 8 or fewer, but interception percentage.
Okay.
Because the number of passes might be different.
Sure.
Interception percentage of 2.8 or higher. It's 2.8 this year. 2. So what Mahomes has done so far this year, there have been 2 stretches. The other stretch was 2021 from Buffalo to the Giants when they lost 38-20. He had the terrible first half against football team in Washington. They ended up winning 31-13. He had the Tennessee game when they lost 27-3, and the Giants game when they won 20-17. That 4-game stretch and this 4-game stretch. The Chiefs are 3-1 with the number 1 seed in the AFC right now. And Mahomes, if you look at his numbers compared to the other 4-game stretches in his career, this is the second worst 4-game stretch that we've seen. He hasn't been playing good football. And I expect that not to continue. I expect that to change. So I don't know what the opposite of damning with faint praise is, but the fact that he's number 4 in QBR in the league and number 5 in touchdown passes and number 10 in passing yards, and even if you go quarterback rating, he's number 15. He's still middle of the pack. In the second worst 4-game stretch of his career, he's middle of the pack in the NFL and number 4 in quarterback QBR. That his worst is better than a lot of other people's best.
That quarterback on the free agent market would be Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, right.
It's hilarious.
His worst is Kirk Cousins.
I think it's exalting with faint criticism.
Oh, yeah, I like
think that might be the because that's really
that.
what it is. It's look at how far you have to lower the bar, and then Patrick Mahomes is still like an above average quarterback, even at the worst.
And this is his level of really struggling,
right?
Not playing good football right now.
Was there a mysterious injury around that stretch, or was that just when the NFL solved Patrick Mahomes?
That's when the NFL had figured out the Chiefs. They were playing too deep. The Bucs had done that, and the Chiefs couldn't figure it out. And now the Bills were doing that. And then they went to the AFC Championship game that year.
Which is a
They had
crazy
figured it
thing to
out.
do while being completely solved.
Yeah, and Mahomes did what he did against the Bills.
Yeah.
In that divisional round game in the first half. Also, the week before the Bills was what he did against the Steelers in just wiping the floor with defenses for 10 quarters. Unfortunately, it would have taken 12.
Lost a great nickname when the Grim Reaper thing died right there.
It's too bad. Craig Stout next. Chiefs football, KC Sports Network, KCSN.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig Stout joining us here in the zone. Craig, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. The Spags defense is playing well and clearly the best unit on the team, so I can't really ask for more as the defensive guy for KCSN.
I'm just saying that this is a Marty team in the 90s, and they have to, we just have to start watching them that way. The quarterback can be interchangeable. You give the ball to the running back, let them pound it, ground and pound, be physical defense, get turnovers when need be, control the clock, ball possession, things like that, and win games.
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell everybody, let's change the way that we watch this Chiefs team now. It's not the Chiefs of old. It's Marty ball, baby.
It's just the way we all expected this season to happen. It's just right down to the turnovers and Patrick Mahomes' play.
Yeah, no doubt. What is your reaction? We'll get into the defense because I read about that at KCSN. You did a really nice job, obviously, as you do, covering the defense, so well. But just reaction overall because, going into that game, I didn't think it would be 23-20. Certainly, I would have been shocked if you said the Chiefs had to hold on to the ball and there was a, questionable penalties both ways on the final drive. But, it ends up being a Chiefs victory. That would have been surprising to hear. I would have certainly wondered what the hell happened the first, 56 minutes of the game to get to that point. But what's your reaction and takeaway from what we saw in New York on Sunday night?
Well, my first reaction is the Jets defense is really good. I think that's probably the best defense that the Chiefs are going to see this year. I know they got the Bills on the schedule, and the Bills look pretty good. But as far as the talent level of the players on there, I feel like the Jets are just a notch above anybody else that they're going to play this year. And they came in with a really good game plan to sort of mush-rush Patrick Mahomes, have some long loopers that were going to be later developing, and just kind of relying on their back end to lock up these young Chiefs receivers and bracket Travis Kelce. It's a great strategy if you've got the horses to do it, and the Jets certainly do. Now, it was compounded by the fact that Patrick Mahomes did not play particularly well. Arguably one of his worst games as a Chief. It's okay. It's not like the end of the world or the sky is falling, but it's a bad time to have a game like that against a really good defense. Conversely, for the defensive side of the ball, Zach Wilson and company, I don't know what got into him this week. That was a different Zach Wilson. He was in a rhythm. He was fitting in some tight window throws. He looked like the guy that the Jets drafted a couple of years ago. Like, that's the level of player that I think everybody expected him to be for the New York Jets. And we just haven't seen it. We've seen the mistakes. We've seen the errors. We've seen the just poor throws and poor decisions. And those were all but eliminated outside of one play at the end of the game. So it really was kind of a confluence of, the Jets defense being really good, Zach Wilson stepping up into a role under heavy criticism, and just, the Chiefs giving a C-minus performance kind of all around there that resulted in this being a little closer game than it probably should have been.
So I do want to know, Craig Stout's our guest, the defensive part of it. I've struggled with this week, and I've tried to view it from, all right, so let's take a step back and not be so close to the to the forest you can't see the trees. And so or can't see the forest for the trees, whatever the saying goes. This Chiefs team, all week leading into it was about how Zach Wilson was going to be. Zach Wilson's bad. He's not a good quarterback. This should be a game where the Chiefs run away with it. The defense for the Jets is really good. I had the Chiefs scoring 30 points because I thought they would get a number of short fields because of how bad the Jets offense can be. And then we see the Jets offense go out there, score 18 points, the way that Zach Wilson played, from time to time. And that drive coming out of half is probably the one that sticks out more than anything because it was a 75-yard drive. There were, throws that were made by Zach Wilson over Drew Tranquill, over Chanel, right in front of Brian Cook. He even got the hand on the ball when he hits Lazard for the touchdown. And so what I'm getting at, Craig, is I sort of struggle from, I think this defense is really good. I don't know if I got ahead of myself talking about, definitely a top 10 defense. Can they be top 5 from the way they played the first 3 weeks and shutting down, certainly the way they dominated the Bears. But is this an element of Adam Teicher on Tuesday said, look, sometimes the other team makes plays. Zach Wilson made really good throws on that drive. And it was, 60 of the 75 yards they picked up on that drive were those 3 throws. And those things happen. So what I've struggled with, Craig, and I'm, curious from your standpoint is, I've struggled with just simply crediting Zach Wilson and going, well, he made some really good throws, and then it kind of lets the Chiefs defense off the hook, or did I get ahead of myself? Were we a little too enthusiastic about the Chiefs defense because the Jags have struggled and the Lions have been up and down, and the Bears are just dreadful unless they're playing the Broncos. So where do you sort of come down on the defensive performance from other teams have talented players, and Zach Wilson has shown signs in his career of making good throws. He just is not a consistent quarterback to do it throughout the game. Or maybe there are some issues there with the Chiefs defense and dial it back just a little bit as how good they can be, and can they win a Super Bowl based on defense alone, and is the defense going to go out there and win a number of games for them?
Yeah, I do think that there is a happy medium between those two to just properly sit on the fence here, Jason. And
yeah, you're great. I like happy mediums.
No, I do think, and I think the Chiefs defense was definitely taken aback by how well Zach Wilson played. I mean, you look no farther than their post-game pressers, the stuff that they put on Twitter after the game. Like, those guys came out and went to bat for Zach Wilson as the opposing defense. Basically, listen, we were in the right spots. We were making plays. We were where we normally are, and he's just fitting some of these throws into tight windows and making stuff happen. Like, there's only so much you could do. It kind of reminded me a little bit of leading up to the Super Bowl last year against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts was not playing particularly well. He was injured. Obviously, he was an MVP candidate during the regular season. But in the postseason, he looked hurt, and he looked like he was struggling to put zip on the ball, place the ball. And then basically it was the same sort of refrain. Turn that quarterback into a passer, and you're probably in a pretty good spot. Jalen Hurts comes out in the Super Bowl and is just dotting up these wide receivers, placing it where only the receivers can get to and things like that. I don't know that anybody looks at that Eagles Super Bowl and says, wow, the defense was terrible. This is a terrible defense. I think most people came away from that going, man, Jalen Hurts was really good in that game. And I feel like that's where everybody is kind of with this Jets game. It was, man, Zach Wilson was really good in this game, really came to the plate, stepped up. Now, that being said, Chief four-man rush did not do them any favors. Steve Spagnuolo tried to lean on it throughout the game, tried to kind of have, lots of guys in the secondary and try and have some exotic coverage rotations, confuse Zach Wilson a little bit. And that four-man rush just didn't get enough pressure to make him uncomfortable. And as we saw near the end of the game, if you make him uncomfortable, he can make mistakes. If that four-man rush isn't getting home in that instance, that's when it's a problem, because Zach Wilson started to grow in confidence. He certainly wasn't good to start the game, but it was when all of a sudden it was, oh, I can do this. I can let her rip with my arm a little bit more. I can trust myself to make some of these throws. And guess what? What's going to happen? I'm going to get benched. If I play terribly again, I'm going to get benched anyway. So why don't I just play a little more free, let it rip a little more, and that four-man rush not getting home allowed him to do that a little bit more, and then we saw kind of what the result was.
Yeah, it's that happy medium I think is a good place, because Zach Wilson can make some throws, but I think it's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. Is it didn't seem like they were getting pressure with their front four, with just four guys that were there, and that has been something that they have at least been able to do a little bit. But they then turned up the heat, as you wrote about it, KC Sports Network. I thought it was a great point, and really astute in looking at the setup and the payoff, the lead up, the payoff that you write about there at KCSN for that fumble. Break down a little bit, if you can, as to what you saw and why it wasn't just sort of luck or a timing thing that the Chiefs get that fumble from Zach Wilson, that there might have been a little more that went into it. Yes, they didn't cause the fumble based on getting in there and knocking the ball away, but they might have actually helped lead to the fumble because of the looks that they were giving them.
Absolutely. What happened there in that fourth quarter drive, that singular fourth quarter drive, the Chiefs defense was on the field. Thank you, offense, for extending the game and really killing it off there. But the defense came out, and Steve Spagnuolo said, okay, this man is too comfortable. We are going to send the house, and we are going to send it on almost every single play. The first 5 plays of that drive, whether it be a run or a pass, the Chiefs sent a safety, a linebacker, a slot corner, whatever it was, they were in on the action there. The very first play is a heavy blitz from Leo Chanel coming across the middle there in this 3-3-5 alignment where there is a zero technique nose tackle. So right over the center, Leo Chanel just kind of slips right in there behind the center, and he's able to knife into the backfield and make a tackle on the running back for a tackle for loss. That was a run blitz that was called. Willie Gay Jr. on the next play gets a hit on Zach Wilson on a blitz. The next play after that, Mike Edwards gets a hit on Zach Wilson. And then the third play after that, L'Jarius Sneed gets a hit on Zach Wilson. So now all of a sudden the Chiefs are getting free rushers. The offensive line is struggling to pick up these extra rushers that are inserting into the equation after the Chiefs have leaned on the four-man rush for large stretches of the game. So when it comes down to the point where there is this snap, it's a very similar look to the one that I just described with Leo Chanel, where you've got a zero technique. The center knows that he needs to fire off the snap quickly because Leo Chanel is coming late and he's going to be a blitzer. He needs to close down that gap so that Zach Wilson doesn't take another hit. So what he does, it's actually a little bit of an inaccurate snap. It is within Zach Wilson's frame, but it's low and to the left. And because Zach Wilson has been hit so many times in the past, 3-4 dropbacks that he had there, when he kind of reaches down to, catch the ball or catch the snap, he actually takes his eyes off of it. He's looking for blitzers. He's looking for pressure that's coming. So when he takes his eyes off of it, the inaccurate snap because the center's trying to get out quickly, he actually drops the fumble. And so I show kind of the difference between those two and the shift of the center. And what actually happens is Turk Wharton is completely unblocked because they're unable to communicate this and unable to communicate this blitz pickup and all of this. It is set up because Steve Spagnuolo just came out and said, we're going to heat him up. It's okay if we allow a couple passes here and there, but we need to force this man into making mistakes because, four-man rushing and dropping back in coverage and trying to confuse him clearly isn't working. And so it is a direct result of those heavy blitzes and those reactions to those that this all occurred. And it doesn't seem like it on the surface, but it is something that Steve Spagnuolo and company helped create by the things that they had going on there in the fourth quarter.
Well, and that was 2nd and 9 when the Chiefs get the fumble. And I'm glad you said that Turk Wharton was unblocked because he was. And watching it again, from the end zone angle when the All-22 came out on Monday, I watched it and I go, man, if they don't recover a fumble, if Zach Wilson does not fumble that football, Turk Wharton sacks him. And if he slides to his left to get away from Turk Wharton, Mike Dana is on an inside rush on the left tackle, so he was going to get there. I think it's 3rd and 15 at best for the Jets if Zach Wilson just simply takes the snap cleanly. Because, again, Turk Wharton right up the middle unblocked. That play is dead. That's dead on arrival. There's no chance that play is getting off. Zach Wilson's going to tuck it, and he wouldn't be able to just simply throw an outlet that quick because, again, Turk Wharton was going to be in his face following the football. So that also worked out well. I do wonder, Craig Stout's our guest from KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com. So often, and it's been discussed ad nauseum and talked about, so far this year as to what Steve Spagnuolo's defenses are looking like in the first 4 weeks as opposed to what they typically look like. That point you brought up of rushing with the front four, not getting there as often as they would like, and then saying, all right, now we're going to turn up the heat, we're going to turn up the pressure, we're going to do some different things, we're going to blitz, we're going to, show some different looks. How often early in the season have you seen a Steve Spagnuolo defense have different pitches, be able to go to all right, now let's throw the curveball. All right, we've been working off the fastball all day. Now let's throw the changeup. We've got this in the bag as opposed to we're throwing fastballs, and that's what we're doing early in the season. And as the year goes on, we'll get more and more comfortable with our changeup and our curve and our slider and knuckleball or whatever we're going to sweeper now in Major League Baseball. How often early in the season have we seen a Steve Spagnuolo defense have different pitches in the bag?
Oh, very often. That is something that Steve Spagnuolo is comfortable with. He wants that four-man rush to work, and it has this year. We talk about how the four-man rush did not work against the Jets. It has worked phenomenally for the rest of the year. It's not like they've had to bring pressure, had to bring extra rushers to get that pressure this year. But Steve Spagnuolo always wants to give his four-man rush the opportunity first. So there's a lot of games that outside maybe that initial script where they want to put some stuff on tape, where Steve Spagnuolo will lean on the four-man rush for a long period of time, where he'll just say, okay, listen, we understand that we may give up some yards here. Hey, Andy, we're going to be doing this for the next little while here, maybe the next 2-3 drives. We're going to primarily four-man rush, get the reps in, get these guys comfortable with rush lanes, what we're asking them to do, get these guys on the back end comfortable with some of the exotic coverages that we're trying to run. That all happens, especially early in the year when they're trying to rep stuff. It is so hard to get those things together when you are in training camp, when you are in practices and installs during the week. Firing against live bolts is exactly the way that Steve Spagnuolo likes to learn it. So you will see times, especially earlier in the season, where the Chiefs don't have a pass rush, where the Chiefs don't have some of these elements putting together, and the questions start to rise. It's like, oh, Steve Spagnuolo starts slow. Oh, this is because, Steve Spagnuolo historically doesn't come out of the gate firing in the way that they are. When the game's on the line, Steve is going to bring things to the table and try and slow down the offense. You'll see a lot of times when the Chiefs are up by multiple scores, they settle in to stuff that looks like, oh, it's prevent. Oh, they're doing it. No, it's not. They are repping things, trying to get stuff when it's in a contained environment there. So, yeah, it happens a lot. They haven't had to turn to it as often this year because the four-man rush has been working. But it is nice to see that they still do have that fastball, that blitz package that's still there, that's going to come into play. This is part of the reason why when they get to, the playoffs, Steve Spagnuolo is a master game planner, and he gets to lean on all of this stuff that he's learned in the first 4 to 8 weeks of the season, what guys do well, when they do it well, against what types of receivers and things like that. That's why when he gets to the playoffs, all of a sudden there is a dedicated game plan that just works. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is a different defense. It's because it is. And so there's a lot of that is definitely happening, Jason. I'm glad that you recognize it because not everybody watches the defense and just says, oh, wow, he's trying stuff out. They're more like, hey, why isn't this the 2000s Ravens all season long?
Right.
Why do you got to wait to turn it up at the end of the year?
It's week 2. Why don't you look like the 85 Bears yet? I mean, get it together, Steve. All right, we'll take a time out visiting with Craig Stout, kcsn.substack.com, and we will switch over to the offensive side of the football, talking a lot of defense and what we saw from the New York Jets over the weekend, and now the offensive side, what we're seeing from the wide receivers, Patrick Mahomes. How terrible is he playing? Relatively speaking, on a Patrick Mahomes scale compared to other quarterbacks that might play pretty poorly around the NFL. We'll get into those things and a prediction from Craig Stout coming up next right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll switch over to the offensive side with Craig, but we are switching over, at least in our house, we switched over to All right, welcome back here in the zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you on this Thursday edition. Coming up later on this hour, we will hear from the Kansas City Chiefs out there at the practice facilities, and then we will play some sports or leisure in the 1 o'clock hour as we continue hanging out with Craig Stout, kcsn.substack.com, and the KC Laboratory podcast. All right, Craig, we talked defense in that first segment. Let's talk about the offense, the Chiefs, the play of Mahomes, and the wide receivers. I'll just simply ask, where do you come down and your thoughts on the wide receivers? Is it as bad as some have been talking about over these first 4 weeks? Is it a little overblown? Is it Mahomes even talking about yesterday that his play has been less than stellar and struggled, and that's one of the reasons why the wide receivers have not put up the numbers? So where do you fall on this wide receiver conversation?
I think I lean a little bit bad. I think that there's plenty of talent here, and I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I'm fine with Andy Reid and company just sticking with this group because it is so young and just saying, hey, listen, these guys have to get reps, just like I talked about with Steve Spagnuolo. Keep repping, keep getting in there. We need to find out what we have with these young guys. I'm fine with them sticking with that. I know that it may end up costing them something in the future here, but building for the future, with those receivers is going to be very important. But that being said, it's the reliability of these guys that's really concerning to me. I mean, we know what MVS and Justin Watson are. They're going to be kind of slow burn, deep threat, vertical guys. That makes sense with what they do. And if they go a couple of games without a catch, nobody's sitting here going, man, can you believe it? No, they're kind of feast or famine type receivers. So you need people underneath and need people that can be more of these target hog, volume guys that can come out and catch the ball, turn it into 7 to 8 yards routinely. They had that in Juju last year. Travis Kelce's obviously been that for this team for what seems like forever now. But teams are picking up on how to bracket Travis Kelce better. He is getting older. They need another option there. Rashee Rice seems like the guy that is a direct fit for some of that stuff. But as it stands right now, he doesn't have – I have counted one catch that he's had against man coverage. I know the stat that's going around is 0, but I counted one that was a blown coverage that he ended up wide open on. So it is a situation where he's not beating man coverage. They need guys that can beat man coverage because teams are just going to man up consistently against this, bracket Travis Kelce, and just say, hey, good luck trying to create the separation to get open. And right now, the Sky Moores, the Kadarius Tonys, the Justin Ross is in his limited reps, Richie James has been hurt. Like, these are the guys that they were hoping were going to be able to create a little more separation, be able to create some of that stuff. Rashee Rice has never been that guy in college, more of a zone beater, and he's been doing that phenomenally. But you need to see more from some of these other pass catchers right now because they don't have that reliable option outside of Travis Kelce, and teams can just take that away so much easier than in the past. And that's a problem for this receiving core, and they've got to get it figured out if they want to be able to continually move the ball against good defenses like the Jets.
Sometimes the best way to see a brilliance in a player is to see what he looks like when he struggles, when he's not having a great game, not having a great season or great span of games. And I think we all know how great Patrick Mahomes is when he's on. He's unstoppable. He's unbeatable. The man will just make play after play after play, and he finds ways to win constantly. But he's talked about that he's not playing good football right now, that he needs to do better in different aspects of the game. And I think early on in the season it would make sense getting used to two new tackles, getting used to a new group of receivers with different roles on the team as opposed to just these guys have been there, done that. I know exactly what to expect from, for instance, a Tyreek Hill, a McCole Hardman, a DeMarcus Robinson, a Byron Pringle, Travis Kelce, Jody Fortson, whatever. I know what these guys are, and then, throw the tackles in there. I'm familiar with that. But I went back and looked at Patrick Mahomes, who was, talked about how much he struggled early on this year. So I want to point out the where he ranks to then give an example of maybe the greatness to highlight a little bit. So in QBR so far this year, he does rank number 4 in the NFL in QBR. Touchdown passes, he has the 5th most in the NFL. Yards, he's sitting at number 10. And quarterback rating, he's at number 15. So the different ways that you can look at, quarterback rating or QBR. He's number 15 in quarterback rating. So middle of the pack in ratings so far this year. Top 5 in QBR, top 5 in touchdown passes, top 10 in yards. So I went back and looked at all of the different spans of football for Patrick Mahomes in a 4-game span of when he did this. And in his entire career, regular season or postseason in one particular year, a span of 4 games where he had a rating of 92 or worse. There have been 11 spans like that in his career of 92 rating or worse. Okay, so let's add in then the touchdown passes. 92 rating and only 8 touchdown passes, 8 or fewer touchdown passes. Drops it down to 9. There have been 9 instances when he has had a 92 rating and only 8 touchdown passes. What about 92 rating, 8 touchdown passes, and an interception percentage, which he has this year of 2.8 or higher? There are only 2 instances like that in his career. It's what's going on right now, and in 2021, from the Buffalo Bills to the New York Giants, when the Chiefs went 2-2, and they played Buffalo and lost 38-20. They beat the football team 31-13, where he had that terrible first half. They lost to Tennessee 27-3. They beat the Giants 20-17. This stretch of football is the only thing that comes close to that stretch of football in those 4 games. And I wanted to point that out because this team is 3-1 on the season. They are the number 1 seed in the NFL right now, in the AFC, if the season were to end right now. And this is the second worst 4-game span of his entire career, only behind the month where we went, who the hell is this player in Patrick Mahomes and what's going on and what have they done with his talent? The league has figured him out. And I think that sometimes you can damn with faint praise, and sometimes you can you can praise with some, I guess, damning evidence. I don't even know what the opposite of that would be. Yeah. But this is the second worst 4-game stretch of his career, and he's still number 4 in QBR in the NFL and number 5 in touchdown passes.
Yeah, it's silly how great this player is. I think I even said on the lab this earlier this week. It's like, yeah, he doesn't look good so far this season. Maybe, worst case scenario, this is what he is all year long. That's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario in that instance is still a top 5 quarterback. He's just not the best player in the history of the game. That's the level of play that he has had so far is just so difficult to sustain that, yeah, you're going to have every once in a while some of these dips in play. And it is a testament to him as a player that this is only the second time that it's ever been this level of, and I'm putting bad in big quotes.
Absolutely,
here,
yes.
Not bad. Yeah, that it's this level of bad. Now, here's the fun part. Minnesota Vikings do not have a good defense.
Right.
Neither do the Denver Broncos, who they play twice in the next 4 weeks, nor do the Los Angeles Chargers. This offense feels like an offense that just needs to get its confidence back. It doesn't feel like, oh, no, what is going to happen schematically? Things are going wrong. This is not right. Pat's not throwing with his chest. The offensive line isn't protecting him as well as you'd hope, and the receivers aren't on the same page. The best formula for rectifying all of that is to turn around, play a bunch of bad defenses, beat up on them, get your groove back, and then go into some of the better defenses that you've got to play left on the schedule still. I will not be surprised if Patrick Mahomes in the next 4 games after starting as quote-unquote bad as he has, if he doesn't turn around and have one of the better 4-game stretches of his career just because he wants to get the bad taste out of his mouth. He wants to eliminate that, and he's going to impress that upon every single individual on the offensive side of the ball. We have seen slower starts and down periods in this team's offense under Andy Reid, under Patrick Mahomes before. They don't typically last for 4 games, and guess what? When they come out the other side, they're usually really good once they start clicking again. I would expect that that's going to happen, and the slate of defenses that they have on deck right now could be exactly what they need to get that back on track and get us back to the point where we can start saying, okay, maybe this offense is better than we think. Maybe they're going to be able to carry it farther than we think. They just needed to get some of the rust off of it.
Yeah, I think Timo Riskett, Pro Football Focus, put out a plot graph of the defenses remaining for teams the rest of the year, of expected points added or lost in this case, and said the way he tagged it was Right now Patrick Mahomes is plus 550 for the MVP at DraftKings. He's the third betting favorite right now. And then put the graph, which was the Chiefs in the top left corner, which is typically the top right corner is where you want to be, when we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. But the top left corner is the teams with the worst EPA defense and how many of those teams the Chiefs face the rest of the year. And it was the Chiefs all alone. And it said hey, as a heads up, Mahomes is right now the third betting favorite for MVP plus 550. Just putting that out there, looking at the defenses they're about to play the rest of the year. That maybe you want to get in on that before those numbers get crazy, because this Chiefs offense might be going on a run here very soon. So we'll see. The Vikings are next up. Craig, you got a score in mind for the Vikings game on Sunday?
I do. I think that the Vikings are going to come out to get the third most pass attempts in the league right now. They're going to come out. They're going to try and throw the ball. They're going to try and force feed Justin Jefferson. Nothing is new for that. I think everybody knows what's coming for the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk's a different player this year, and he is wilting completely under pressure, even more so than normal. I expect Spags to come out, heat him up a little bit. I expect the four-man rush to get the groove back a little bit more. I just feel like, this Vikings offensive line is allowing way too much there. So the defense is going to dictate this game a little bit more. And like I said, this Minnesota Vikings defense has not been good. I expect a lot of design concepts, a lot of explosive plays, especially from wide receivers. It might be short passes that, like Rashee Rice takes for 20 yards, but I expect a lot more kind of comfortability in this game, a nice, comfortable win with the Vikings trying to air it out against this really good Chiefs secondary. So I've got the Chiefs winning this one 31-17, and I don't think that it's going to feel that close, especially in the middle of the fourth quarter.
That's a cover as well. Craig Stout, KCSN.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, you're the man as always. Very much appreciate the time, brother. We will talk soon. Have a good day. Enjoy the football, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
All right, there's Craig Stout, KCSN.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. He's got the Chiefs winning 31-17. That would cover the under 5-point spread right now that the Chiefs are favored by 4.5. That's a 14-point win. And I like the Chiefs minus the points this weekend as well. I think I like Mahomes and the overs and yards and touchdowns and all of that stuff with the defense that the Vikings will put out there on the field. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We will hear from the Chiefs coming up on the other side of the break. More Zone right after this. 913-912-4810, a Thursday edition. Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. More Zone next. All right, taking it to Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, kcsn.subtech.com. We will head out to Chiefs practice facility, hear from Steve Spagnuolo, Dave Tobe, Matt Nagy, and Brian Cook will be at the podium today. So Brian Cook with a huge tackle, maybe a game-saving tackle against Breece Hall. And Mike Edwards said yesterday he went to Brian Cook after that tackle and said, hey, look at the score. That thing wouldn't be the same if you didn't make the tackle. That's quite literally true. It would not have been 23-20 final score if he did not make the tackle because the Jets would have had 27. So that is literally a true statement that if he did not make that tackle, that score would not be the same. Who knows what we'd be talking about right now if Breece Hall was able to just slip by Brian Cook. But he was not able to do that, so we'll hear from Brian Cook today as well.
We might be hearing about how the Chiefs' offense fixed itself in crunch time against the Jets, how they drove the length of the field, ate up the clock, and then Patrick Mahomes scrambled for a touchdown. Obviously, the Jets could have played very differently defensively if the score would have been different, but it is kind of funny to think, and we talk about the sliding doors and the butterfly wings that flap and change a lot of things after, but that game would have had some weird opportunities.
Now we'd be talking about how the officials screwed over the Jets to give the Chiefs the win, so be the main conversation we'd be having.
The correct one, finally?
Yes, that's right. Here's Dave Tobe.
Right there. Great day.
Maybe not Dave Tobe.
At
Maybe.
some point, I bet for sure.
Probably. Here's Dave.
There's doors opening and closing.
Here's Dave.
All right. The only person not working today is Matt Dickerson. Everybody else will practice.
Well done, Dave. Thank you, Dave. It means a lot. Does that mean you're working so much?
All right, there's Ted Cruz. We'll hear from Dave Tobe here in just a second. Matt Dickerson not working today. Nick Bolton and Jalen Watson worked yesterday at limited capacity. Everybody else was full practice yesterday. So Matt Dickerson also not working today as well. So we believe Dave Tobe will be up there very soon.
Real quick note, they've had a lot of inactive defensive tackles so far this year. They've really liked Matt Dickerson, brought him up to the active roster, obviously. So maybe we see a little more beef on the D-line this week.
Here's Dave Tobe.
All righty, fire away.
Hey, Dave, what do you like about Montreal Washington?
Catches the ball well, makes good decisions, the normal good things right now. I mean, it's early. He's only got 2 games under his belt. He's been solid.
Is that a guy you had your eye on when he was coming out?
Yeah, I mean, when he was coming out, we did. But then we played against him. I mean, last year at Denver. I mean, he has a lot of reps. You know, he's got a lot of experience in there, and he was a guy that we thought was pretty good. You know, when we played him, and we were lucky to get him onto our practice squad, I thought. And then it was good to let him develop, you know, in that way and learn what we do. And the opportunity to get him going, you know, it came up when 17 got hurt. So, you know, he's done a good job for us.
Dave, what would you say is the best part of Harrison Butker's game right now?
He's 8 for 8, I think, and that's really good. His kickoffs, if we ask him to hit a touchback, he hits a touchback. He can move the ball. He can hit a high short if we need it. He's got a variety of onside kicks. I mean, he's just really spot on right now with his game.
Tommy Townsend, that free kick, first off, going 80 yards, but just he's been good. He's got a couple inside the 5. What do you see?
Yeah, we only had 12 punts. it's unbelievable. You know, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a great thing. We only have 12 punts, but he's been really solid. You know, and that free kick, I never see anybody. I don't remember anybody banging a touchback like that. At least that thing had a chance to stop. I mean, it landed on like the 2-yard line and then just rolled into the end zone. I was surprised McCole was right there, didn't try to return it. You know, they had 2 returners on the field. One of them was McCole, and they let it bounce and then it went to the end zone. But I mean, that's anytime you can start from that situation and a free kick from the kicker from the 20 and have their offense start at the 25. That's a win. That's a big win. You know, because usually they're going to get the ball out at least to the 30, maybe 35, 40. So
nobody forgot everything you taught him.
McCole, I thought, hey, you're going to take a shot at us? Take a shot.
Nobody kicks a free kick anymore, though, do they? Used to be you'd see that occasionally.
Well, I mean, every time if you take a safety, they're going to punt it. They're going to punt it just like we did.
But it's always a punt. You have the option, right, of kicking it, place kicking it.
You got the ball in your hand. You have the ball in your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, you could kick a drop kick. You can do
the rules say you can do
three
things with it. But
yeah.
Punting is what you do.
Punt is what
And how odd
flip
is
the
it?
field, hang time. Be able to get your coverage down there in that situation. That's the best option to do.
And isn't that just such a weird place for a punter to be, to start with the ball with his hand and not have to catch a snap? And
Yeah, well, he practices that all the time. When he doesn't have a snapper out there, he's kicking the ball out of his hand all the time. And obviously it's easier to do because you don't have the pressure of the rush coming at you. You don't have to speed up. And he hit a good punt.
Just to follow up on Montreal, I think in your time here, you've had one kick returner, one punt returner. How valuable is it that you can do both? And I guess that's a preference, right, for a special teams player?
Yeah, I mean, it is a preference. A guy that can do both. We really haven't gotten any kick returns yet. Not one. I mean, it's been all touchbacks. So the time will come. But he's looked good in practice.
What do you see from the Vikings on special teams?
Really good. They got they got a punt returner and a kick returner, and they're both. The kick returner is a running back. He's solid. He had a bounce return. It was a counter, and they got a big return against Carolina last week. So we're ready for that. I think he's more of a north and south guy. The punt returner is Powell. He was at the Rams. He's an experienced guy, risk taker. He's probably going to try to return everything. Probably not a lot of fair catches, so we got to cover every kick.
Couple more.
Maybe just kind of a theoretical question. Like, when you got into this game, I mean, punters weren't averaging 54 yards.
No, not at all.
Hang times and everything. Like, what do you attribute to? Is the money of the sport brought more athletes to it? Is it practice time?
I think it's like with every sport. I mean, every position you look at. I mean, everything has gotten better and better, and the kickers really are really coming. I mean, it's crazy now what you're seeing now. I mean, the hang times it's like a 40 net used to be like, that was like off the chart. That was like, if you could have a 40 net at the end of the year, you were like the best ever. Now it's almost near 50. I mean, even 45. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, these guys bang the ball, both kickers and punters, and it's changed the game, no question. And it's made it a lot harder to get returns. I mean, you see all the touchbacks we're getting, and it's hard to get returns like we used to back, and when I was at Chicago. I mean, with Devin. I mean, Devin, he changed the game too, but the kickers weren't the same.
Is it better coaching? Low? Is it better athletes?
Yeah, it's just better athlete. I think better genetics, better nutrition. I mean, the guys are stronger. They work out more. I know our two guys, just speak for us alone. I mean, Tommy and Harrison those guys are put together now, and they are athletes, and the same as James Winchester as well. I mean, those three guys, I mean, I put them up against anybody in the league as far as athletic. And, and I think that's where it's gone. I mean, there's better athletes, and every year they just seem to get better.
Last one.
Dave,
David?
Dave, you talked about keeping your defense on the field. I think you did it once last game. Fourth down is keeping your defense on the field.
Oh, yeah.
How does that take away from? Does that take away from the return?
Yeah. I mean, it does, but you also you got to be careful. I mean, obviously we got ripped in the game where I had the punt return out there, and probably should have left defense out there, but it changed a little bit. But this is the way people are going to attack us, so we have to adjust, and we've adjusted a lot of things this year to fit what we do offensively and defensively.
Thank you,
everybody. Thanks.
I mean, that's my preference. Just leave the defense out there and no punt returner. That's sign me up for that every single time. That'd be great. Also, the Chiefs have no kickoff returns this year. All right. Love that, too. Keep kicking that thing into the end zone. Take the ball to 25. Let's roll. All good in this hood.
Maybe we just send all of the active defensive linemen out there and just, hey, man, give them all your fastest pass rush move. Just try to go block that thing.
Not even that. Stay away from it. Here's Spags.
Good. How's everybody doing?
Later by 6 minutes.
I didn't even look this time. I just figured if I said both, then I could hit it. All right, Game 5 on to Minnesota. I don't really have anything, so I'll just open it up. What's your roll?
The sticker that you got.
This one here?
Yeah.
I think this was back from COVID, right? It takes all of us when the injustice was, yeah.
Yes.
On the other one, yeah. I don't know. It was in my locker. I threw it on. I threw it on today.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Facing him.
Yeah. It seems like we've got one of these highly rated, exceptional wideouts every week. It seems like he's the real deal. One of the things we looked at these last couple of days is when he catches the ball, if you're not really good at what we call angles to the completion point, he can make you all look bad, take it to the house. He's a competitor. He's a guy we've got to be concerned about.
You've had Legarius seemingly all around the opponent's top weapon.
Yeah.
Fair to say that this could be the tallest challenge that he's kind of got up with?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, to me, it's always whatever week you're in, that's the tallest challenge, right? But listen, he's proven that he's an elite wide receiver in this league, and you know, we won't always be able to get LJ on him. They move him around enough. They got him inside, so there'll be some times when that won't happen. But it'll be a good battle if they end up, you know, across the line of scrimmage.
Steve, y'all started off. It feels like every game with Big Nickel, Shamari coming out and starting out there. Just what impact does that give him and give the defense open up the game?
Yeah, listen, what we've been trying to do, I really like Chamari and the way he plays. He's physically, I thought he tackled really, really well this past game. And we'll get him in there when we think it's right, or whatever package we're calling, or what, you know, to tie it into the calls without getting into the whole thing, right? But I like it when he's out there. It allows us to keep Trent outside and LJ outside, so that's one advantage. But we'll see how every game goes. Sometimes in the middle of the game we change that for different reasons, but it's nice to have different packages and guys that you can trust to go in there. And I like the fact that, you know, so he's a rookie, right? But every game he's kind of gotten a little bit of an experience. So, you know, somewhere down the road here we're going to get an ankle turn, or if something's going to happen, we're going to need guys to go out there. So at least he's got a little experience on his belt.
What do you see with Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I've always been a Kirk Cousins fan. I remember, and I don't normally watch quarterbacks in college, or not concerned, but I remember Michigan State being really elite and doing a real good job there. And then when he came into the league, I remember him being in Washington. I remember I kind of follow his whole career. I think he's a class guy, and he's a cerebral quarterback that's very accurate. And really, other than the turnovers that they've had, this has been a really highly productive offense. I mean, if they hadn't turned the ball over like they have, they're pretty tough to stop. So that's what we're focused on. We can't guarantee that we're going to get turnovers. So the challenge for us is to try to keep points off the board.
Is there a style to the McVay offshoots? You know,
yeah.
We know I know we're old enough to go back to the West Coast
yeah,
offense.
Yeah, when it was called.
Is there a
There's a little carryover, and Kevin was in. I'm pretty sure he was in LA when we played them last. So maybe he's brought. There's some things you see that are the same, but I think every coordinator puts his little tweaks into it, and he's got different personnel, right? But I think they're doing a really good job with what they got.
Steve, I know all receivers are different, and you guys have faced, or at least your young guys have faced, the Devontae Adams, the Diggs, and Jamar Chase. Is there any benefit that they've already faced those top receivers like that?
I think so. I mean, I think every game you can get under your belt the experience of going against an elite wideout. It feels like I said, it feels like every team has one, right?
Right.
I think that's the way offenses are being built now, and I think they have more than just that.
Right.
The young kid that they have, number 3, he can go. We got to be concerned about that. I tell you what throws a whole wrinkle in the whole thing is how good the tight end is. It's really hard to put a lot of attention on a wideout and a tight end. It's tough to do. You got to pick your spots, and you know we've had similar challenges. We would play the Raiders in years back, right, with Waller and Adams or whoever. But I do, in answer to your question, I do think that our guys, every time they get a chance to go against an elite receiver, that includes the safeties, not just the corners and nickels. I think they try to rise to the challenge, and hopefully we can do the same thing this week.
What does the potential return of Nick mean for you guys?
Yeah, Nick's done a little bit of work here. I don't know if we're at that point yet. I'm probably going to be right down to the end of the week. But I know he's chomping at the bit. I don't know if you guys have talked to him, but he's a competitor, and I don't think he likes standing on the sideline and watching the guys out there playing. So if he can go, he'll go. But we'll see where we are at the end.
I know you moved on to this next week, but how just would you assess the overall defense Sunday night?
Well, I will say this. I'm gonna turn. I listened to a couple of our own guys say I got to give Zach Wilson a lot of credit for the way he played. It's not that we didn't expect that to happen, but we were hoping to make him look a little more average. But he put the ball in the right spots. I thought we had pretty decent coverage. I thought LJ did a pretty good job on what was their top or elite receiver. We just needed to make a play or two here to take it from 18 points down to 10 or whatever it is. But it was a good, gritty, gutty win. I'm talking about as a team, but from a defensive standpoint, we had to keep hanging in there and swinging until our offense got going, and we just got just enough points to win the game. So good to get the win.
Are you seeing the confidence? I mean, a lot of times it's been the offense shines, and we've had times where you're in here going, we want to have one of those wins where it was us.
Yeah, right.
You've had those this year.
Yeah.
You see a pep in the step. Does it do anything for confidence?
I think so. You'd have to ask the players. I mean, I get the blinders on, so one game's over and I'm into the next one. But listen, our guys are human. I said this to them Saturday night, we do a little walkthrough on Sunday before the game when we play at night, and I said, just keep the 2 C's. I said this to them, and the 2 C's to me was just make sure we keep our chemistry and our confidence. So I felt like that was part of what we had for 3 games, and don't let anything take that away. Not a bad call, not a bad play, not the fact that we get down, or if we get too far up. And so I think we play better defensively when we play like that. So I hope that's building.
Brian Cook had what felt like maybe a game-saving tackle on that.
Exactly. That's exactly that was the first clip I showed on Tuesday when we met with him, because I thought that was huge. I mean, usually you're saying, okay, that saved 4 points. That really saved 7, because we ended up stopping them in that drive. I think they had the punt, right? I'm not sure they attempted a field goal, right? Because I think they had a penalty, and then that was huge. And we had watched a clip of number 20 run that same play against Buffalo down and backed up. And he was gone. They caught him at the 10-yard line, but that deep safety didn't make that same play. And we just said, if we get in that situation, somebody's got to get him on the ground. On that play, if you guys go back and look at it, Willie was involved in coming off the edge. And if you watch the whole play, had Brian got him to stumble just a little bit and missed him, Willie was going to run all the way down there and maybe makes I just thought the effort by Willie Gay on that play was huge. It didn't come into play because Brian got him on the ground, but yeah, you got to do that. And thank God he made it, right?
Just in talking about the safeties, when you have a potential blue chip tight end, blue chip wide receiver, how important does maybe in the elevated does the communication safety wise as far as help?
Yeah, the biggest thing with the tight end to me is know where he is all the time. This guy that we're talking about, I mean, he's nifty. I don't know how much man we'll play. We mix it, right, man and zone. But whoever's called upon to play, and make sure, we always say, make sure you win your leverage. Like if you've got help inside, don't get beat outside, or vice versa. So little things like that against a really elite tight end, I think, are really important.
A couple more.
Just how far is Brian Cook along, just in terms of second year safety?
Yeah, I thought he made a jump from game 3 to 4. We worked Mike Edwards in there a little bit. We're kind of getting both of those guys going. I think it's good to get going back. Same thing with Chamari. Like all these guys, I mean, Jack has gotten some reps, right? Leo's in there. I mean, I think that's good that was the intent early to get everybody a foundation of reps. As we get later in the season, we're going to need everybody. And but getting back to Brian Cook, I think each game he's gotten better and better, and it was kind of evident by that one play. It was pretty indicative of his improvement.
Coach, this isn't, you guys obviously had great success against the run, other than that one play.
Yeah.
You were talking about, but watch Isaiah Pacheco. He runs so physical and takes the punch to the other team.
Yeah.
When you play a physical back, can they wear you out? Can they soften you? I asked Coach Reed, is it like a body blow in boxing?
Yeah.
Keep getting hit, and eventually it opens things up. I mean, do you see that?
I think that can happen in any league. I remember, I think it was Lou Holtz. Don't quote me on this, but or somebody that worked for Lou Holtz. Phil Almazian, I think was his name. You guys don't even, but he coached for Lou. You know the name? Yeah, and I think he said he was a coordinator, I think, at Virginia Tech, one of those schools. And I remember him saying, this is when I was a young coach, saying, when they run the ball on you, you got 11 peed off players because they ran the ball, right? When they throw the ball, it's just, you're upset on the back end. So when somebody's running the ball at you and they run it and they can continue to run it, I mean, it upsets everybody. I mean, you have to be able to stop that first. So, yeah, the teams that have a kind of back like we do, that's running straight at people could be you got to stop it early, right, so that they don't keep going to it. That's the hope. Good? All right, thanks.
All right, there's Steve Spagnuolo. A lot of stuff to take away there, but Brian Cook certainly pretty high on what he was able to offer in that game and made a jump from game 3 to game 4, said about Brian Cook. But obviously a big test in front of this Chiefs team this weekend against the Vikings defense. Here's Matt Nagy.
Andy, you mentioned that Minnesota likes to play man a lot, and then sometimes they'll blitz a lot. They have a tendency. It seems that plays into favor of what you guys, or at least Patrick, likes to see. Just overall, what do you see out of this Minnesota defense that there could be some points of attack?
Yeah, they do. They can play a bunch of different coverages. I think you look at the DNA of Coach Flores as a defensive coordinator, and he's always wanted to present some type of challenge with pressure, whether it's bringing a lot of people or not bringing many people. Coverage techniques, whether it's man, cover 0, cover 2, cover 3, all of it. He does it all, and I think he does a good job of creating an identity with their defense. And now this is his first year there with those guys and learning kind of how they want to do their stuff. But again, pretty much like any defense in this league, it all starts on the front end, and they got some guys there that can get after the quarterback. And I think you match those guys up with the scheme on the back end and the players that they have, they can be a very, very good defense.
Matt, it's pretty clear from the couple times we've talked with Patrick that he doesn't think he played very well on Sunday night. But what's he like in the film room? And I'm wondering if any play in specific that he comments on when he doesn't think that he played his best.
Well, it's pretty evident when you're in that moment in the game and he had those 2 throws he had. He's more frustrated than anybody that he made them, and we know that that's not normally him. I think in a somewhat of a tongue-in-cheek, joking matter, you can remember this kid is human still. You know what I mean? And so he's gonna. There are times when you can make mistakes, and some that are like that. So he, in that moment in the game, we all just got to get back together and say, okay, listen, this is where we're at. This is what we know we want to do moving forward after these 2 picks. He's going to be harder on himself than anybody, criticizing-wise himself. And so now it's like, okay, get by that point. Now let's get into the plays and why we made the decisions or throws we made. And then how do we not do that moving forward, but yet still keep that aggressive attacking mentality that he's always had.
I'm sure some of those are pretty obvious in the moment, right? Or at least afterwards, he probably knows immediately, hey, I can't do that. So
Yeah.
How does that translate to like the following week when I assume a lot of your coaching is young wide receivers trying to get them in to see defense is the right spot? When a player already knows this mistake, like how do the coaches?
Well, you rely on Patrick just being a savvy vet, knowing where he made the mistake of, or again, like I said, there's been a lot of unbelievable quarterbacks that have made some throws that you wonder, how they made it or why they made it. And he's allowed to have a couple of those every now and then. And that happened to be a game where again, he had 2 throws where right away one he knew. He just said, that's on me. Like I pulled the string and the ball just kind of floated. And the second one, the linebacker got underneath second, third level underneath the deep cross, and the kid made a good play. So to us as coaches, it's like you sit there and you say, okay, we know that decision-wise what to do. We know you can make every throw in the book. Now let's get back to this week in practice. Let's get back to the defense we're about to see. Let's get back to timing with our wide receivers. Keep working that and understand that he's a true pro, and he's going to use our coaching to help him get better and eliminate what was last week with those 2 throws. Because Patrick's harder on himself than anybody. Right after the game, hey, I put us in that situation with the field position, et cetera, with those throws, and he knows that, and you don't need to, beat it down. We just move on from it and learn.
Coach, as a follow-up to that, he used the term greedy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I got greedy in those. Can you and Andy get a little greedy maybe in some of the stuff you're running, or there's a conservative option on every single play?
Well, we have a plan to what we're doing with the players, with the scheme, with the play calls. I think probably in how the moment of the game is going, being able to, you look at that game, we just weren't staying on the field, and the first quarter we went right down, scored a few touchdowns, got a lead. And then we hit a lull where we just had a turnover, one play turnover, 3-play safety. And so we weren't getting into a rhythm. So sometimes naturally you can want to get back into that rhythm by downfield stuff, but sometimes they're not going to give that to you. And so whether it's us as coaches or Patrick as a decision. Then we hit a lull where we just had a turnover, one play turnover, 3-play safety. And so we weren't getting into a rhythm. So sometimes naturally you can want to get back into that rhythm by downfield stuff, but sometimes they're not going to give that to you. And so whether it's us as coaches or Patrick as a decision maker with the football in his hand every play, how do we slowly get back to doing what we do? And that's sometimes by not being greedy and by taking what the defense gives you. And then when they come up, then we go over the top. So there's a little bit of a balance. It's a little bit of the game flow. And I think we're all a part of that.
Understanding that there's been times where it seems like Patrick has an eternity to throw, which is a great play by the offensive line. But are your wide receivers doing enough to help him out?
Yeah, absolutely. There's again to that question: is it drop 8? Are they rushing 3, where there's a lot of time, and now there's more guys defending the routes, or is it a rush 4 pattern? And now it's the line's doing a good job of passing off games, and now we got less guys in the zone areas. But this is for our wide receivers, for Patrick, for our tight ends, for us as coaches. This part of the season, we feel like we're starting to really learn who these guys are as wide receivers. And I don't know if you're, week to week, this isn't necessarily the offense or the type of offense with the players where you're going to see one guy that has 18 targets every week. That's just not us. And it's always kind of been that way over time. There's been some outliers here or there with our offense, but I think that's the beauty of the offense too, is we got a lot of different guys that are learning how to play wide receiver within this offense, and we're learning who they are. So it's just a little bit of both, and then just continuing to grow so that when we get to the end of the season, man, we're rolling.
Matt, understanding you guys have plans for young players, I think on this side we always get a lot of questions about Justin Ross and just where he's at. So in that frame, what does he have to do to kind of earn more playing time?
Just keep doing what he's doing in practice, which is working hard and trying to learn the different positions in the offense. We're learning what routes he does well. He's learning what routes he can get better at. And then we got to, as coaches and teachers, we got to develop him and continue to make him be better. And then when you get an opportunity, whenever that is, whether that's today, this weekend, or in 5 weeks from now, make the most of it. And his attitude's been phenomenal. He's very talented. Let's just keep developing him as coaches.
Couple more.
Easy. I like it. All right. Take care.
I mean, he's right. They never got into a rhythm. It was choppy at times. It felt like a rhythm the first few drives, and then it got really choppy throughout the rest of the game of a penalty or turnovers or a negative play and, just off a tick here or there. And they put 6 points on the board after going up 17-0 in that game. 6 points was all they needed because they needed to get to more than 21. Well, 4 points was all they needed, but they needed to get to 21 with the Jets only scoring 20. So they did just enough to go and get that victory after jumping out 17-0. So we will hear from Brian Cook coming up here pretty shortly. As we've heard from Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, and Matt Nagy, Brian Cook will be the final player/coach of the media availability today.
Which one is he?
He is the guy, the defensive player who was cooking, number 6.
Not a coach. Okay.
Yeah, not a coach. He is the man of wearing 2 different mouth guards on his face mask, and neither of them ending up in his mouth.
Why would they need to? I mean,
this is great. Got a red and a gold mouth guard hanging from your face mask, which is also weird. Like, what's the point of having the mouth guard if players don't wear it? They just all dangle from the face mask.
Yeah, because I think in college you have to. I think still, I don't know. That rule may have been basically grandfathered. It might be like high school where you actually have to have a mouthpiece of some sort. Now the NFL doesn't care. The NFL that's not even a point of reference anymore. You just have it there to show. I think that's like a marking on a wild animal. Like, hey, I've got 2 mouth guards hanging from my face mask. You need to know that I will knock your teeth out because I'm not even going to have to wear these for myself.
I don't wear either one of them.
So Brian Branch of the Lions has a neon green one that just sits in his helmet the whole game.
It's
Wears
great.
it out of his helmet. It's
great
awesome.
accessorizing.
Yes, it's great, and it helps out that particular hole in the helmet not to lose teeth or bite its tongue. The tongue on the top right part of his skull is not going to be damaged.
Hey, I've got huge news here. On the tackle of Breece Hall, it appears that Brian Cook was in fact wearing a mouth guard in his mouth. I know you've never seen anything like it before.
No,
but that appears to me.
What is he doing?
That appears to be a mouth guard there in his mouth.
Do that?
Another totally different rep here against the Jets also has a mouth guard in. So maybe
wow,
maybe he's giving the play away.
Well, the first couple of weeks he had a red and a gold one just hanging there.
That's a great look.
Did not put either one. My
needs
son
to bring
noticed
that
it.
back.
My son was like, he's got 2 mouth guards. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like 2 mouth guards, and they rewind. I'm like, oh yeah, he does. He has 2 mouth guards. He's got a red and a gold. Good for him. Red and yellow, red and gold, whatever. So we'll hear from Brian Cook, who Steve Spagnuolo said took a big jump from Game 3 to Game 4. It's interesting because I thought Brian Cook's been playing well this whole season.
I think he has.
But Steve Spagnuolo is saying that that jump has been made, and using Mike Edwards in different ways, and Shamari Connor, what he's offered for the team, and allows Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed to stay on the outside when Shamari Connor's in the game. Trent McDuffie drops down to the inside when Shamari Connor's not in the game, and L'Jarius Sneed is playing on the outside, which L'Jarius Sneed's earning himself a lot of money.
Yep.
Because we talked about the difference between an outside cornerback and a slot cornerback and how much money on an annual average value you get. And I think it was the number 33 highest annual average value contract for the first time you found a predominant slot cornerback. 1 through 32 were all outside cornerbacks. And as of the late part of last season, Sneed has been playing outside and McDuffie playing on the inside. And he's been doing it well. So he's gonna get a lot of money in the offseason. I don't think it's going to be in Kansas City, but he got a lot of money by playing on the outside now.
And it sounds like almost a foregone conclusion that they're going to have him try to travel with Justin Jefferson as much as they can again this week. And then when Spag says, they move him around a lot, they put him in the slot some.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, then
you got McDuffie.
Then Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed should be on Justin Jefferson all day. And that's a super, super interesting series of matchups that I feel pretty good about, considering the best you could feel about any defensive back against Justin Jefferson.
Yep. And I thought it was interesting, Matt Nagy talking about Justin Ross, learning what routes he's good at. He's learning what sort of is expected from him with the different routes, and it's just sort of getting to know that particular guy. Even though he's been in the system for a year, he was, rehabbing with a foot injury and surgery last year, so he wasn't doing all those, routes and things like that.
And right before that, Nagy said something that I think is directly contrary to what Andy Reid said weeks ago, which was, hey, do you feel like you're still kind of feeling out your rotation? Do you feel like you're still learning who these receivers are? And Reid went, no, I think we know who we got. Nagy says today, this part of the season, we feel like we're really starting to learn who these guys are as wide receivers. Later, he said a lot of different guys learning how to play wide receiver in this offense, and we're learning who they are. Like you said, with Ross, it's we're learning what he's good at. He's learning what he can get better at. Whatever the truth is, the message is very different between Andy Reid's answers to those questions and Matt Nagy's. And I tend to believe that Nagy is letting a little more of the truth slip through the cracks there.
Oh, I do too. I noted on Wednesday, so that was yesterday, when Andy Reid's press conference, and he was asked about, against Minnesota, New York, and he said, look, you got to win man-to-man. Yep. You got to win versus man. And he said, we were decent against the Jets, and as things go, we'll get better at that. And I started with we were decent against the Jets, and I put means they weren't.
Yeah.
When he's like, oh, we were decent in that game, that's pretty much Andy Reid's way of saying that we were not good. We were decent winning man-to-man, winning our man routes against the Jets. No, you weren't.
And he took a ton of questions about the receivers, and I just wrote yesterday, lots of receiver questions, kind of deflected them.
Here's Brian Cook.
Tackle there against the Jets on Brees Hall. What did you kind of see on that play?
Honestly, nothing too crazy. Just, the ball popped through and on the last line of defense. So my object was just get on the ground and get a defense another chance to go out there and make plays. But I think for the biggest part, just shout out to my teammates that was hustling to the ball from the back end. If you go back to the film, you see Willie Gay, you see Trent McDuffie, you see guys come up, getting on blocks, running to the ball. So for me, it makes me feel a lot better. Whereas other situation that is, but I was able to get them down and be able to get off the field with a punt. So it's beautiful series he had.
Spang said that they ran a similar play against the Bills. And
obviously
did that register with you? That it was the same look?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Probably for like 2 days straight. Honestly, I was just looking at the play. I was like, and I think it was a Jordan Poyer, the safety. Looking at how if I was in his shoes, how I could have made the play. Just trying to find different ways. But I definitely watch other guys from the league. Jordan Poyer is definitely a great safety on our defense. So I just try to see how the different guys might have missed a play or made a play. How can I emulate that? So moving forward to our game, when it popped through, I was trying to figure out. Should be a little different. Honestly, I had a lead blocker, but just trying to find a way to get in front of the ball carrier and kind of slow him down for the teammates to rally to the ball.
That was really the only play they had running wise. You guys really stuffed it out. Was that the focus? Was let's make sure we take the run away first, and
Well, absolutely. I think that's that's week to week. Honestly, I think because especially for the way the league is nowadays, you want to stop the run first. So that way you force them to kind of throw passes and give us Chris Jones guys up front to kind of get a chance to get to the quarterback. So, but a lot of teams, obviously you want to get the ball established for running first, and that opens their passing abilities. For us though, just the main things obviously stop the run, then our deep shots. And that's what Coach Spaz kind of preached, week to week, day in and day out. So that was our goal and that was our objective. Definitely was a powerful team when it come to run the ball, as you've seen that not years ago, but weeks ago. So we was able to, do our job to the best of our abilities.
Whether it's holding Jacksonville to 9 points, or here you got a tie game, you get their 3-point lead, you take the football away. I mean, where's the confidence level? I mean, there have been years past, maybe before you got here, and last year was a good statistically defense as well, but where it seemed like maybe the defense was kind of skiing in the wake of the offense. That hadn't been the case this year. Where's the confidence, in that defensive room with the success you've had?
Just chemistry and confidence. I know you kind of said that, but confidence more just confidence in the player next to me, confidence in the game plan, confidence in the overall scheme, confidence in our teammates as a group, as a unit, and then confidence in people on different part of the ball, like offense and special teams. You had to have confidence all the way around to be a solidified defense and solidified team overall. So that goes into it. Then obviously communication is definitely one, but that goes into chemistry. So chemistry is more as we've been around here as far as second year, especially for us rookies. That was last year. We all got chemistry from last year. The plays a little bit more smoother. We got guys coming in from other players. You have Mike Edwards coming in from another good defense. I see Justin Reed another year into the defense. Chris Jones came back. D-line's obviously moving well. Offense is still going to be offense regardless of who's back there because of 1-5. Andy Reid coordinating everything. So just trying to put the pieces together, figure out how can we keep this chain rolling.
Brian, I asked you, I think it was in training camp, about your time you spent with Ryan Clark, Garcia out in precision camp. Week 4, 4 weeks in, do you feel like that work's paid off?
Absolutely. I think it was a short off season. I would say that for sure. But just I think the knowledge was probably a big part. We had a chance to shout out to him. Honestly, we had a chance to watch film and go over some plays of the AC Championship of other teams, other players that was there. We seen other chance to see them, how they did certain things. So just gaining the knowledge and information, and obviously working on our skills. I was a situation where that was my first time going there. I didn't even know a lot of drills and stuff like that, but it was a challenge. You know what I'm saying? And I think just day by day, I just try to show up and put my best foot forward. And you don't know what you can get out of that. So looking forward to it next year or whatever. The years come on, I'll be definitely going to him again, however long he has it. But it definitely paid off for sure.
Do you feel you're back? Go ahead. Do you feel that individually your evolution from year 1 to year 2? How do you feel that's been for you? Just knowing that you fit in a little bit more, things. Every coach we've ever talked to says you're starting to see more like a veteran out there. How do you feel about how you play?
Me personally, I'm very hard on myself. So regardless of anybody say the praise, I get appreciated. But I'm very hard on myself, to extreme, I would say. So I get in times where I can find myself, in a second place or things like that. But I think the most part for me is just the expectation I have for myself and then how much can I give to the players around me. So I feel like, I might be slacking in some areas, things like that. And even though, it's just okay, you're good. For me, it's it's pivotal because at the end of the day, I'm the last line of defense. And my job is, at the end of the day, I want to make sure everybody's in front of me playing fast. The faster they play, the faster I can play. Because now I know what you're doing. I know if you can react this way and things like that. And then also, challenge myself. Like I said, Mike came in, so he's still learn the defense. And you got guys coming in, Shamari coming in with different positions. So being able to help them time and time again, sometimes it can be a little low, but I feel like for me it's a challenge that I'm definitely embracing. So they've been there just try to figure out how can I be better. But I'm definitely hard on myself. I know it's a lot of Brian Cook this, but I'm definitely hard on myself to extreme. But I think the confidence I have is more the teammates having confidence in me. So that gives me obviously the boost to keep going. But I just want to be able to have my teammates depend on me when I'm back there, handling everything, making sure they, if anything break loose, last week, that they can depend on me. So that's to pride myself on, hoping to do that week in and week out.
Last two.
I wanted to go back to the tackle for a second. When you made the tackle, the Jets are celebrating, right? They just had a run. Did you did you realize what had just happened, that maybe you had saved a touchdown? And at what point did teammates start kind of congratulating you on that play?
I mean, I think throughout the game, coaches always talk about, you never know what play can be the play. I guess that ended up being one of the plays. But for me, it said once it broke loose, I was just trying to figure out how can I get him on the ground as fast as possible, obviously, because the field is only 100 yards, and it looks long, but after a while, it definitely did shrink pretty fast. But you don't really know until after the fact. So I think once, I think Mike, shout out to him. He told me probably when Patrick slid, he was like, bro, like, you know how big that play was, but you're gonna realize after the fact. So and even in the moment, I'm still like, obviously hard on myself. I'm thinking about my correction I could have made from now and then moving forward. But as far as the play, like I said, I was just focused on trying to get him down. It wasn't really too much thinking. But especially in a situation like that, I said, just find a way. And I think it's a big thing for our defense. Just find a way to get off the field, find a way to, get the ball down and give 1-5 another opportunity.
Last one. Brian, it sounds like you said, when he breaks loose, I was thinking about a way to get him on the ground. You're processing. One, it's important. It's me. I got to do it.
Yeah.
You can't go there. You're going all through those dynamics really quick in your head. But when you came out, your reputation was as a big hitter. A guy that'll go, pop somebody. There's two sides to that, right? Maybe you go for the big hit, you come up with nothing, right? Like, have you had to retrain yourself or? Absolutely.
I think first and foremost, obviously playing against grown men. I mean, college is different, but when you get to the league, it's like it's a little different running styles, and I'm learning too how to tackle a lot better, more efficiently. So it's okay to be a hard hitter and things like that, but I don't know. I kind of just found a different role as far as just being secure. I try to be a secure tackle as much as I can be. So times like that, like I said, like you could find a way to try to stump them and things like that, but at the end of the day, like. The result is the result. I think that's the main important thing for me. So working on my feet work. I mean, tackling is that's your feet work first. I mean, obviously your eyes is definitely key to anything else that you do on the football field. But I just I look at it from a different point of view now. I'm not looking at it to take somebody's head off or things like that. Now, between might present itself, they might see something different. But overall, playing to play out, like I understand, like longevity wise, I have to be able to get on the ground. So if I'm sitting here looking for the the hard hit every time, and I'm missing more than I actually want to miss, it's just more being secure and. Those plays that everybody wants to be wide to, but they'll come. You know what I mean?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
All right, there's Brian Cook. Interesting there at the end, changing the way that he tackled and approaches things in the NFL from being a hard hitter that, now you're talking about grown men and different running styles. And, those plays may come, but you got to get them on the ground first and foremost, and that's certainly what happened in that big play against the Jets that at the time was a huge run for Brisco and the Jets, but ended up being a 7-point tackle for Brian Cook. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone next. I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We got Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. Have a little fun with Sports or Leisure and some Johnny's Tavern. Speaking of, Dylan will be there today from 4 to 6 at the Johnny's in Raymore. Today from 4 to 6 and giving away a couple of tickets to the Chiefs-Broncos game, a Budweiser item. And we have not confirmed nor denied that Kelsey and Taylor Swift will both be there too.
That's what you just said is factual. We have neither confirmed nor denied. And I'm not intending to confirm nor deny.
No. There's one way you can find out. Going to the Johnny's in Raymore.
Correct.
From 4 to 6.
I will confirm that our trailer, all rolled up into one, Dylan will be there, and I don't know if that's, I guess since he's just one person, maybe it's a little less star power than Tavis combined.
Only slightly.
But only slightly. Do you have a go-to order at Johnny's yet, or are you kind of like a menu roamer?
I am a menu roamer, but I do have two that I religiously get on the menu if I don't know what to get, which is the buffalo and blue wrap or the chicken strip platter. That's the easy route if I don't really want to look at all.
I haven't had either of those.
I've never had either of those, and I've eaten at Johnny's a fair number of times. And I'm also kind of a menu roamer.
Yeah.
That's how expansive the menu is, but not overwhelming. Sometimes restaurants are like, hey, we're going to give you, here's a 6-page booklet. That's a little much. Everything at Johnny's is good.
Yeah, there are some places that have chapter books.
Yeah.
Too. Chapter 1, pasta.
Yeah, like, okay, guys, can you tell me what you think is the best stuff you make?
Chapter 2. Yes, do we have the clip in there of Travis Kelce and the New Heights podcast? I DM'd you. I apologize, Dylan. I slid into your DMs earlier today. He's giving me the hold on just a second, which is perfectly fine. I slid into Dylan's DMs wondering about Johnny's later on. Hey, any chance you want to meet me out at Johnny's in Raymore? I don't know. Let's say sometime after my show, like 4 to 6. If you're free, I'm free. That'd be great. You want to do that?
I'll get you $3 off burgers. There's $3 off burgers today at Johnny's, including the burger of the day.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's not it, but you don't have to tell Dylan that. You can just be like, hey, man, I'll get you $3 off your burger if you want to hang out, maybe share it, maybe cut it in half, split it together.
Can you give me a chance to win a Travis Kelce signed picture? Okay. I got that going for me, too. That's great. But do you have that clip? Almost had. He almost has it. He almost had. That was in our ear, not over the airwaves. So he almost has the clip. It's
2
not
tickets
that
to
big
Chiefs
of a deal.
Broncos also is a hell of a giveaway. I mean, I think Dylan being there is still probably the headline for me, but a little Thursday night AFC West action. Hello.
Figure out your headline. Whatever you prefer.
Go see Russ cook in person after going and having a much better cooking result at Johnny's Tavern. Boom.
Hopefully on Saturday, Brady cooks.
Yeah, absolutely. Brady's going to cook.
And then Russ will not cook because of Brian Cook.
Wow.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
That is absolutely too many cooks in the state of Missouri.
Yeah. And Marshawn Lynch with his Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharp.
How about that?
Was pretty interesting.
Seeing Marshawn Lynch do his best to be like to be very fair and to not give too much away, and just where he's coming from, the follow up from Shannon. I can't remember. It was like, what? You and Russ never hung out. You never went out together. Marshawn was just completely silent.
Just stared at him like
10 seconds.
Are you crazy?
You've met both of us, right?
Shannon? Are you really asking me this question? Just shocked. Just stared at him in silence with this facial expression of, "Are you dumb?"
Yeah. And not angrily either. It was like genuine befuddlement.
Yeah. Am I talking to a grown man right now who's got the ability for reason and thinking? Yeah, no, that's not what happens. But here's the little clippy clip from New Heights podcast came out this morning. It's the only clip that I've seen from it. I haven't listened to it.
I think it came out yesterday, if not Tuesday.
Yeah, today's Thursday, not Wednesday. Thank God.
And this is also still the only clip that I've seen. I was thrilled for the last 2 episodes. I also kind of skipped this week. I don't know that any real big hits came out of this one.
So did I. Here's Kelce in the New Heights podcast. Jason and Travis talking about the coverage of Trav and his love interest.
Is the NFL overdoing it? What is your honest opinion? I think everybody's just overwhelmed your feelings for Taylor. What is your honest opinion on how the NFL is treating celebrities at games?
I think it's fun when they show who all is at the game. I think it brings a little bit more to the atmosphere, brings a little bit more to what you're watching. But at the same time, I think
they're overdoing it.
They're overdoing it a little bit for sure, especially my situation.
Right.
I think they're just trying to have fun with it, and a lot of the people watching. Go ahead, let's hear it.
I just think the NFL is not used to celebrities coming to the games. Like basketball has it figured out. They're all courtside. They're sitting there. They show them once or twice, and then they get back to the game. The NFL is like, oh, look at all these A-list celebrities in the game. Keep showing them, show them. Dude, listen. You show them once, let them know they're there. Maybe after a touchdown, you get a little clip, but you can't be overboard with it.
Yeah.
People are there to watch the game, right?
Yeah, they're not there to get thrown on TV.
I don't know that I don't know that Travis was fully on board with the they're overdoing. I think Travis was more going along with his brother Jason. Like Jason was like, they're overdoing it, Travis. Well, they're it's trying to have fun with it. Like it's overdoing it. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. Yeah, that's what's going on. I don't know that Travis really feels like they're overdoing it that much.
As an expert in this field,
yes,
I think Jason bullied him into having a take he didn't really have.
Bully him into that courtroom by the ghost of a dead lawyer.
I don't get that, but that's too bad. I 100% agree. That was Jason having an opinion of he asked Travis, what's your honest opinion? So I think people are a little overwhelmed by the no really go ahead and say what you really think. Go ahead, pop off, King. And he goes, I think it's fun. And then Jason drops back in again with they're overdoing it. Just say they're overdoing it. You can say they're overdoing it. He didn't say that, and I don't think he wanted to say that. No. I don't think he believes that. Then Jason goes off again of like, you can't show them and show them and show them and show them. I'm taking notes during the game and stuff, so I don't know the actual answer to this question, but how many times did they show that booth on Sunday night?
17.
That feels high.
It feels high, but that was the number. At least that was the number that was tweeted out by somebody that I don't remember who it was, and I'm just going to trust that it's true.
I'll look. The only time I even noticed and thought it was odd was after the Pacheco touchdown, which is the example that Jason gives as being okay. Like, hey, we'll show you maybe after a score or whatever. I think this is a lot of complaining for the sake of complaining about it. It's not distracting from the game unless you're looking for a reason to get distracted.
Well, they did have a weird cut to the booth of like a second and a half. So it cut to the booth, cut to the suite a second, and then it cut away from it real quick. It was an odd.
And I probably completely missed that one because I'm going. My eyes are going up and down during a game like that. So
yeah, I just I mean, look, I don't really know that it's overblown. I don't care if it's overblown. Did the NFL on Instagram say that the Chiefs are 2-0 with Taylor Swift in attendance? Did that go?
It's been
overboard?
2 weeks.
Like, I don't know. It's fine. The NFL is having fun with it. They're trying to capitalize on it, which is perfectly fine. Hell, the Minnesota Vikings, the mayor of Minnesota is inviting Taylor Swift to the game, trying to get her to the game. People know the marketability of that particular person and what it does. And, I'm here for it. I think it's fun. It certainly is with the Chiefs, and we cover that. So I am not annoyed by the Chiefs winning. I rather enjoy the Chiefs' success on a week-in, week-out basis. So I am not tired of it, rooting against them, and just done with the whole Chiefs thing, and it's all Chiefsed out, and it's jumped the shark and all of that stuff. I think eventually it would jump the shark if it continues at this pace every single week. If she is touring with the Chiefs, and she goes to the Vikings game, and is at the Denver game, and is at every single Chiefs game until she goes on tour, then yes, if every single time they're showing 17 cutaways to the booth in the game, and it's the 6th or 7th straight game that she's attended, yeah, at that point it may jump the shark because this will become more of it would be if she did it every single week, it would become more of the norm of, hey, Taylor Swift is there.
And
Taylor
then
Swift
they'd stop showing her so much. I mean, that's just how that goes.
Yeah.
That's just not where we're at right now. Again, like this idea that people are so worn down from it all. In the 10 days that it took from, I mean, really, how from her being there at Arrowhead to people being sick of her by pregame of Chiefs Jets. Like, okay, guys, so you got about 3 days of thinking this was fun, and then the week after was just, I just hate that this is all. This voice is back. I don't know where this character keeps coming from. I just hate that Taylor Swift taking over the sport.
It's a heavy smoker.
You don't have to enjoy it or look forward to it or participate in it, but you're allowed to look away. I do that all the time when I watch sports or other media forms whatsoever. I mute commercials sometimes, guys. I don't complain about them if I see one. I've stopped tweeting about the Whopper song, the Burger King song. when it all debuted during March Madness, it was the meme of the month, deservedly so. Now it comes on, I go, oh, that's kind of crazy. I can't believe they're still doing Whopper songs or whatever. And then I move on with my life. It's okay. That's fine. I need 100% of things on my TV screen to be perfectly marketed to me. Me!
Whopper, 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 Whopper.
Rather hear that than a Taylor Swift song.
Whopper, 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 Whopper.
Jason's on Dayquil, everybody.
to play some sports or leisure in the next hour, but what's going on with Tom Brady and the Raiders and an ownership?
Summarized here by My Sports Update on Twitter, the NFL's approval of Tom Brady's minority ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders is stalled due to concerns about the discounted price offered by owner Mark Davis, per Mark Maskey and Nikki Jabvala. It's unclear if the two sides will revise the deal to address the concerns. It's believed that Davis is selling Brady between 5 and 10% of the Raiders, and he may be giving Brady a discount of as much as approximately 70%. Which opens the unretirement window back up. I'll just be the first to say it.
70% break on the price to buy in with the Raiders. Well, you know what? You get the star power there. Him just being there, then drive up the price of the franchise.
Or owners are worried about the price going down at a discounted rate.
That too.
Either way, it's the Raiders.
Yeah.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, Thursday edition of the show. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, and Dylan Michaels. We play a little sports or leisure on this Thursday edition. Coming up tonight as the show is over, Sren Petro follows us. And then a little best of, and then we got Bears and Commanders with Thursday Night Football right here on your home for the NFL and everything that's bleeping great, according to Todd Lebo. It's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-381-810 is the phone number to play some sports or leisure. It's presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We give away in a little game we call Sports or Leisure. And today at 4 o'clock this afternoon in Raymore, our very own Dylan will be out at Johnny's Tavern in Raymore with some cool specials going on, reverse happy hours. They've got some $3 off burger deals, including the burger of the day, getting you registered to win 2 tickets to the Chiefs and Broncos game and a Travis Kelce autographed picture as well. That is the Johnny's in Raymore today, 4 to 6 with Dylan.
Like you said, $3 off burgers, but unfortunately beefcakes are full price, so Dylan will be his regularly scheduled price point. I can't even look at him.
I'm looking at him right now. It's like the first time I heard the Beatles. All right, 913-381-810 is the phone number to play a little sports or leisure. Here's how you play. You give us a call. You get on the air. You get a sports question. You get a leisure question. You get them both right, you win. If you get either the sports side or the leisure side wrong, you lose. But the question is out there available for someone to call in and request. If they know the answer to it and they want to answer that, they can. If they have had time to Google it, well, then I guess that works as well. We give out the answers to the question when somebody answers it correctly, or we have simply run out of time to play sports or leisure. That's when we give the answers there. So that's how you play sports or leisure. Should we go through the categories? Shall we?
It would be kind of fun to not do it one time just to make people really guess.
Just we have 5 categories. Choose a number 1 through 5. What category would you like?
That's pretty good. Or if you can't name what one of the categories is, you don't get to play. Sorry.
Sorry,
Jason,
you're out.
Can I get Chiefly Viking? Not the name of the category.
Nope, not at all. I don't even have that category. So
do you not have that category this week? Oh, man.
No, but that would have been great. No, I was doing other things. So we have
sick.
leftovers from Chiefs openers. We have just a guy who played for the Chiefs. This is Chiefs and Jags from.
I loved it. This is my favorite genre
ago.
of category. I don't know. It's just remembering dudes.
Barely Regal, again, played for the Bears and Chiefs. Have not done the last couple. We'll see about Broncos maybe next week. Barely Regal with Chiefs and Bears. Then I have Taylor Made, a number of questions that involve an NFL player with the first or last name of Taylor. Then we have NFL questions, just general NFL questions, some that are Chiefs specific, some are just general NFL. So those are the categories on the sports side. What about leisure?
We got a few. I might just have to keep refreshing this category because it's been fun. We have what could it IMDb TV, certainly enough to get us through today. The commonly misspelled word spelling bee. Try to crank that up a level of difficulty. We'll see how you fare with that. Get Swifty, some remaining Taylor Swift trivia, just about Taylor Swift. And then today, remember the Vikings. Questions about Vikings throughout history, mostly pretty long ago history, but I'm going to try to find the sweet spot for you, where if you're brave enough to take a Viking question, I'm going to try to give you an answer that maybe you learned in elementary school. That's my hope, at least.
Okay. There we go. 913-381-810. I'm ready to play. Josh, you good to go?
I am so good to go. Dylan, you good to go?
Well, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
A little too excited.
All right, 913-381-810. We get things started off on this Thursday. Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. We get it rolling with Avery first up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Avery, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I want to try Josh's Viking question.
The Viking Age is believed to have begun in what year when the first recorded raid occurred at Linsenfarne in Northumbria? I can give you multiple choice, but you usually have an absolute flamethrower ready to go before I can even give you those. Would you like your multiple choice questions?
Yeah, I'll take multiple choice. Man, I really messed up here.
I think I'm going to give you 4 years to choose from, and I think you might have this information in there.
We'll see.
What year was the first recorded raid on Linsenfarne? You have 19. You have 793, 795, 787, or 777.
I love Josh's inability to like gauge what people might be able to like possibly know.
So great.
You know how some games have dynamic difficulty, where if you get too good at it, the game gets harder.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing on some dynamic difficulty
That is
here.
a good point,
I have
Avery.
a large swath of questions to choose from, and Avery, you're playing on difficulty level 10, baby.
I feel like Josh had an Avery category for each category, a subset category for Avery for each category.
I definitely have like a common offenders category for sure.
All right, that's like B.
B 795.
Sure.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's incorrect. I do apologize, but that question is out there for someone else.
I'll take.
Oh yeah. Well,
B.
only 2 more wrong guesses before they stumble.
This question says, "Let's start with an easy one."
Avery, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. I love that he asked for the Vikings question. I think he'll probably be the last one to ask for the Vikings
No,
category.
they're not all like that. They're not all like that. It's okay. And also, hey, pay attention.
B?
Pay attention, and you might get some hints as you go too.
Okay, great. Let's go to Matt next up.
There's a rhyme for this one, guys.
Sports Radio 810, Sports or Leisure. Matt, what side would you like to start with, sir? Sports side or the leisure side?
Definitely not the Vikings side. Let's go with Barely Regal.
All right, Barely Regal. Let's see. Okay, an undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma. This is players that played for the Chiefs and the Bears. Undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma. He was on his way to an unspectacular career. A third down back from Miami. Had more receiving yards than rushing yards as a Dolphin. A more discreet signing before the 2018 season. It turned out to be an important one. His name is now all over the Chiefs' postseason record books, and he has a Super Bowl ring.
But Damian Williams.
It is Damian Williams. There we go. And Barely Regal category is now gone.
Maybe the greatest name in sports or leisure category history.
Thank you.
It's really excellent.
Gone, Barely Regal.
What about on the leisure side? What category would you like, and what year did the Vikings first? No, what category?
IMDb, please.
This show takes you into the brutal and mysterious world of Ragnar Lothbrok, a warrior and farmer who yearns to explore and raid the distant shores across the ocean.
These are getting weirder.
Maybe.
It's getting kind of
or maybe they're getting more obvious.
Really?
Maybe.
I mean, I've got to guess, but
things are going to get better.
Weirder.
Non-weirder, less weird.
The brutal and mysterious world of Ragnar Lothbrok, a warrior and farmer who yearns to explore and raid the distant shores across the ocean.
Okay, is it related to the Chiefs' opponent this week?
I don't know. It's the IMDb question. That'd be a pretty weird thing for me to do.
Or would it?
I am going to guess Vikings.
You'd be correct!
Nice job.
Absolutely correct. Yes, of course. I added that this week. I just, I like a little cross promo there, and it's Vikings,
Well
which
done.
I've heard is an excellent show. I haven't seen it.
Sure. Matt, that is a winner. We know that Johnny's Tavern is an excellent place, and you'll be heading there with $25 to Johnny's Tavern.
You're not going to have to pillage or raid or anything at Johnny's Tavern. Just give them the gift card. They'll give you food in return. It's
That's
a really
great.
nice system we got.
It's great.
Rock and roll.
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you, sir. 913-381-810-810. It's a great system.
So far improved on
than what it used to be.
on what it was in 7 whatever.
Certainly not $7.95.
Definitely not.
Nope, that's less than $8. Let's go to Marcus next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Marcus, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Go sports.
All right, what category are you thinking?
I didn't catch them except the Barely Regal. I know that one's gone.
Yeah, we got some Chiefs openers left over. We've got just a guy who also played for the Chiefs, which is, Jags and Chiefs. And then we have a number of general NFL questions, including some Chiefs-specific ones.
Let's go general.
General NFL. All right, Patrick Mahomes threw his 200th career touchdown pass in New York over the weekend in just his 84th game played. What player did he pass for the fastest of 200 touchdown passes?
Smith was 199.
That was in Chiefs, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed Alex Smith in Chiefs. He also passed Alex Smith in rushing yards for a Chiefs quarterback in the same game.
Really? I
Alex
didn't
Smith
catch
was like,
that
you know
one.
what, to hell with you, Patrick, really? Couldn't do it, like, at different times,
Rude
you
of
know?
him.
But, of course, I guess Alex Smith, if he threw a touchdown pass his last game, would have done that in the same game as well, his rushing yards and touchdown passes.
I guess that's also a good point. Yeah, fair enough.
Same game. This player took 89 games to throw for 200 touchdown passes. Mahomes did it in his 84th game.
I'm just stabbing it because I thought I heard this on your guys' show. Marino.
It is Dan Marino.
Boom!
Well done, Dan
Listening
Marino.
occasionally pays off.
It does, from time to time. They used to do a game on Border Patrol called Listen or Lose. If you listen, you cannot lose. On to Leisure with Josh.
I'll give you the categories here. We've got the IMDb TV game, commonly misspelled words, Taylor Swift, and Viking trivia. Not Taylor Swift and Viking trivia combined. I'll work on that for next week.
The misspelled words. I don't think I want to step into any of the other three.
That's pretty belligerent of you.
Oh.
Your word is belligerent.
Oh, what are the odds?
Well, I just got to spell it?
Yep, you got to spell the word belligerent. Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that very clear.
Belligent.
That's absolutely
nice
right.
job.
Well done. Well done with confidence,
Good job, Marcus.
with speed. Good work,
Absolutely.
Marcus.
Marcus, have more confidence there in your spelling ability. Ding.
Incredible.
Well, the ding is wrong, so we should have
Right.
just been silent.
Yeah, the ding and the spelling bee is
Yeah.
bad, but in sports or leisure, the ding is always good.
That's right. Ding, ding. Marcus, thank you, sir. We'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. $25 at Johnny's Tavern heading Marcus's way. 913.
Ding, ding.
Hey, there we go.
Didn't mean to talk over that. Go ahead, Dylan. Ding, ding. Turns out, still working. That's one of my favorite things I've ever said. I'm not going to lie.
Loop that underneath real quietly.
Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go with Jag.
All right, this Jag. All right. A Tennessee Volunteer. He played more than a decade with the Chiefs, a household name and fan favorite. Chiefs decided to move on, and people thought he would punt on his career, but he decided he would hold on a little longer with a stint in Jacksonville and a couple of other places before retiring. Figured I'd throw.
One guy in my head.
Did you get the 2 words I threw in there,
Ooh,
Josh?
I don't know that I did actually.
Okay.
If you read it again, I'll listen extra close. I'll save what jumped out to me about the question.
The Chiefs decided to move on, and people thought he would punt on his career, but he decided he would hold on a little bit longer.
Oh, no, I did get both.
In a stint in Jacksonville and a couple of other places before retiring.
Is it Dustin Colquitt?
Yeah, it is Dustin Colquitt. Well done. Yes, Dustin Colquitt.
I remembered him being a Steeler for a beat.
Me too.
And a Brown maybe for a game.
Yep,
or
I
two?
did not remember the Jags at all.
No memory of the Jags. That's wild.
None whatsoever. On to leisure with Josh.
Do what category you'd like?
Let's do Viking.
Yes. You want the one that's out there, or do you want a new category?
I haven't heard the other questions.
The one that's out here is essentially when did the Viking age begin with the first recorded raid on Lindisfarne? It's multiple choice. We're down to 3 there, or I can give you a fresh one, also multiple choice.
Let's do the first one.
The word Viking is based upon the word Vik, meaning a creek, inlet, or bay. From which language does the word Vik originate? Your options are Faroese, Anglo-Saxon, Old Norse, or Old Swedish.
Gosh, it's got to be Norse or Swedish.
I agree with that. I think those are the 2.
Either one, both. All right. Let's go Norse.
Let's go to Johnny's.
There we go. All right, nice job.
Good work.
Well done, sir. Well done, Norse. That would have been my guess as well, Norse. I mean, the other ones wouldn't have made sense, but that would have been my guess. Andrew?
None of these make sense if you're not a Viking historian.
And I did minor in Viking history for a semester in college, but didn't learn that.
Everybody experiments.
Did not learn that. Andrew, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, $25 to Johnny's Tavern is now Andrew's, as he can go there and hang out with Dylan while Dylan is there at Johnny's Tavern in Raymore today from 4 to 6. 913-381-0810 is the phone number to play some sports or leisure for Johnny's Tavern. $25 you will be getting if you play a little game called Sports or Leisure. 913-381-0810. Let's bring in Tom next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tom, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
I'll take that Viking question that's out there.
Ooh, okay. The start of the Viking the start of the Viking age is believed to have begun in what year? We've had 975 guests. Your remaining options are 795. Your remaining options are 793, 787, or 777.
Do 793.
793 is correct.
Nice job, 793. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that.
Avery's an idiot.
There was like a jingle down here also I'll have to find and bring back for you, but it was the summer of 793 is the where did that come from? I'm gonna look into it.
Is that when the Vikings sailed the ocean blue?
That's when they sailed the ocean green, which is a whole other thing.
I thought that was
in the summer of 793, the Vikings sailed the ocean green. It's weird.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot more plankton back then, I guess.
Yes. All right, Tom, on to the sports side, sir. We've got Chiefs openers. We have tailor-made, and we have NFL questions, some specific to Chiefs and some just general.
Let's do tailor-made.
Tailor-made. All right. It's this man and Tyreek Hill for the greatest wide receivers in Chiefs history.
Otis Taylor?
There we go. That was easy. Right?
That's weird. I don't think his name was Taylor Bow, but maybe Dwayne was a nickname.
That's fine. People can throw that in. To me, I should. You know what, Tom? In my opinion, humble opinion,
I think it's fair.
It's this man and Tyreek Hill for the greatest wide receiver in Chiefs history, and you got it right because obviously you're smart. Tom, we will, and I like Dwayne Bowe. It's fine. Tom, will put you on hold. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
It's that easy. $25. Johnny Stavern heading his way.
I didn't know his full name was Mark Taylor Bow-Richter. That's wild.
It's Mr. 99 to you. Okay.
Eddie Taylor Kinnison? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Nah, you might have gotten it right, Jason. I'm writing in Dwayne Bowe.
Sorry, Lance Taylor Long.
Man, I wish I could have 53 of him.
Let's go to, let's see, is up next. It is George next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-3810810 is the phone number. George, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Let's go tailor-made.
Tailor-made, I think? Is that what you said?
Tailor-made?
Sorry, your phone burped a little bit there.
It did burp. Tailor-made?
Yep.
All right, tailor-made for you. All right, this player spent his entire career in Miami outside of 2 years in his 15-year career that he spent with a couple of different teams. A third-round pick out of Akron in the 1997 NFL Draft. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, and also won Defensive Player of the Year in 2006. He's now a Hall of Famer and could be in Columbia this weekend watching his son play for LSU as a tight end.
Jason Taylor.
That's correct. It is Jason Taylor. His son Mason Taylor, tight end for LSU. Pretty good player, too. So Jason Taylor could be in Columbia. Maybe he's on his way there right now. I don't know why he would be there 2 days early, but maybe he's driving and listening and going, that's me! I'm the answer to that question.
As long as they don't show him from the booth too many times during the game. I'm going to write an angry letter to somebody.
The worst.
Jason Taylor's not even playing anymore.
The worst. On to Leisure with Josh.
What category would you like?
Did someone answer that Viking year question?
They did, but I've got lots of other Viking questions that are maybe maybe not quite as violently difficult as that was opening it up.
I was going to say, that's the only one I've looked up. So.
Yes. I love that.
I'll go IMDb.
I appreciate your honesty.
Only one I've looked up.
Geralt of Rivia, a solitary monster hunter, struggles to find his place in a world where people often prove more wicked than beasts. I got several hints for this one that I can begin to unravel. The star of this show is a Chiefs fan. Well, the double hint: the star of the seasons that have come out already is a Chiefs fan.
So Taylor Swift is starting.
You're going to have to say that question again.
Yeah, one more again.
Geralt of Rivia, I think that's how it's pronounced. Beards would know. A solitary monster hunter struggles to find his place in a world where people often prove more wicked than beasts.
Wow, I have no idea.
I'm with you.
Survivor.
That one should be on there next. I'll have to go get that.
George, I love that. Thank you, sir.
All the reality
it,
shows for next week. That might be the next step. Hey, George, I appreciate your contribution to the show there.
Yes, Survivor. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. 913-381-0810 is the phone number to play a little sports or leisure. $25 at Johnny's Tavern on the line as we are playing on this Thursday. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone right after this. All right, Thursday edition of The Zone heading up until 2 o'clock. We're playing a little sports or leisure. 913-381-810-810. To play some sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern coming up at 4 o'clock today at Johnny's Tavern. Dylan will be hanging out at the Johnny's in Raymore. So we are giving away $25 to Johnny's Tavern, and we are giving away Dylan to the city of Raymore and everybody that attends Johnny's.
One is much more important than the other, which is the Johnny's.
$45 or you?
I'm about $30. So
Okay.
yeah.
There you go. Thank you. I you know what? Yeah, $30. I'd go up to 30.
You know, the next person who wins at Sports or Leisure, you get your choice between a $25 Johnny's gift card or Dylan.
Your choice.
Your choice.
913-381-810. Lawrence next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Lawrence, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'm going to start with the leisure side, please.
Which category do you like?
I want the one where you were talking about some lonely monster hunter and blah, blah, blah.
Yes. What TV show we're talking about?
The Witcher.
That's The Witcher. It's Beards' favorite video game. Henry Cavill was the star of that. He's also Superman, Man of Steel, and he's a Chiefs fan.
Is he really?
He really is. Beards has pictures of him on the wall in the office down there that he put up of him wearing a Chiefs, like one of those winter hats with the flaps on the side. I'll bring it down for you.
Are the Chiefs the most famous of celebrities of fans?
In the NFL?
In the
or
NFL?
like, maybe so. I don't know. The Henry Cavill thing was like a few years ago, and we were all kind of surprised by it.
Because you got Paul Rudd and Jason Sudeikis, and now Taylor Swift.
And then by extension, all of Taylor Swift's friends.
That's
Brad
right.
Pitt.
Brad, sure.
Yeah,
Brad
he shows
Pitt.
up every once in a while.
He does.
And
wow, we really might have the biggest
Rob Riggle and
most amount of firepower here.
So yeah, I'm gonna go yes on that one.
There's Henry Cavill in a Chiefs hat. Look at that, Man of Steel.
There you go. How about that? All right, on to the sports side, Lawrence. What category are you thinking, bud?
I didn't catch the sports category.
All good, man. We got Chiefs openers still left over, and then we have tailor-made. These are questions about NFL players with the first or last name of Taylor, and just general NFL questions. Some of those are specific to the Chiefs, if that's what you would prefer.
Yeah, give me one of those NFL Chiefs questions. Make it something I ain't going to have to Google.
Something you won't have to Google. Well, we'll see about that. Isaiah Pacheco reached 1,000 yards rushing in his Chiefs career in the game versus the Jets, regular season only. He is the sixth fastest running back in Chiefs history to reach 1,000 yards to start their career in terms of games played, with now 21 for Isaiah Pacheco. Name any of the 5 players that did it faster than Pacheco. Games played.
So 1,000 yards.
1,000 yards in a Chiefs uniform to start their career. Faster than Pacheco's 21 games.
And is that just rookies, or does that include like free agent signings?
No, it'd be to start their career.
Okay. So, they'd be a rookie. Well, I'm going to have to go with the hero in pretty much everybody's books. How about Joe Delaney?
Joe Delaney is right.
Really? Wow.
I'm glad that you went Joe Delaney, because I was thinking of making this 2 players are tied for first with the fastest to do that, and name one of the 2 players that was tied for first. Joe Delaney is one of the players at 13 games to reach 1,000. The other one is Kareem Hunt.
That would have been my guess, Kareem Hunt. I didn't even.
13 games, both of those players, 13 games to get to 1,000 rushing yards. The next closest, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, was 17 games.
Huh.
And then after that, Christian Okoye and Woody Green at 19 games, and Isaiah Pacheco at 21.
I find it hard to believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has played in 17 games for the Chiefs.
Shockingly enough, he did, at least his rookie year, when he got to 1,000 yards rushing, or at least overall, whenever. I don't even know if that was his rookie year or not. But yes, that is a winner, though. I'm glad you went with Joe Delaney, because that would have exhausted both of them. So,
and I get Dylan, right?
And you can take Dylan. Yeah,
is that your choice?
Give Dylan your information, and he'll deliver himself to your front porch within the hour.
Sounds good.
There you
Thank
go.
You guys.
Lawrence, appreciate it. And look, Dylan can do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Okay? He can work an entire weekend of American Royal.
And only get a little ill.
Right. He can produce something for you.
Totally.
If you need some technical production done, he can certainly do that. He could give you his thoughts on sports while sitting there. He could teach somebody in your family how to play baseball.
He could shave your head.
Right.
He could teach you how to grow a beard.
Do a lot of the Dylan is multifaceted, very non-one-dimensional, multidimensional.
A Swiss Army knife, some say.
Everybody has said that about him. I didn't want to go there because I wanted him to say it.
At this point, it's almost trite. I mean, Dylan, the Swiss Army knife. It's like his middle name around here.
Dylan Taylor, Swiss Army knife, Michaels. Brr.
Well, hold on. What about a Swift Army knife?
Oh wow!
Hold on, guys. Hello.
Have we
Hello?
Have we uncovered and discovered a new genre? Swift Army knives.
That's got to exist, man. I'm Googling it now, but there's no way that doesn't exist at all, right?
Is that a DeAndre Swift or a Taylor Swift?
Yes, and.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because some would have said offensively DeAndre Swift was going to be a Swift Army knife.
Did people not say that? I'm not. Look, I feel like this might be a place where we have a real branding opportunity. I don't know what all the things would be, but I'll get a hold of some Swifties. We'll figure out like, okay, so we don't need like, a bottle opener or scissors or whatever. We get like a little like lip gloss or like a little like confetti gun or a bejeweler. Maybe your AirPods are in there so you can listen to Taylor Swift's music. We got a lot of good options.
I don't know. 913-3-810-810 is the phone number to join us, to be a part of the show. 913-3-810-810. Let's go to the phone lines, and we bring in John next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. John, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Sports.
All right, we got TaylorMade, we got Chiefs openers, and we got some NFL questions.
Let's do NFL.
All right, NFL, we have some Chiefs-specific ones or just some general ones?
Oh, let's go Chiefs, I guess.
All right, very good. Let's see. Travis Kelce had a touchdown reception in 5 straight games, including the playoffs last year, heading into the Jets game this weekend. That was snapped. It's the 4th most in Chiefs history. Kelce is already tied for first with the most consecutive games with a touchdown reception at 7. Name either of the other 2 players with more than 5 straight touchdown receptions. 5 straight games with a touchdown reception in Chiefs history.
Oh, man. Okay.
Kelce is first and 4th. There is a person that is tied for first with Kelce and is all alone in 3rd. And then there's, Kelce. So either of those 2 players, one that is tied for first with the most consecutive games, which is 7, or the 3rd most, which is 6. Either of those players.
Man, well, I can't even. My mind goes to Tony G and Dwayne Bowe and Andre Rison for some reason sounds right too. I guess I'm going to go with the obvious. Go Tony G.
Tony G is incorrect.
Never did it. Wow.
Yeah, Tony G. Yeah, Tony. I don't even know how many consecutive Tony Gonzalez had. I'd have to go back and look, but it is not Tony Gonzalez. John, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-3-810-810 is the phone number. I need to go back and look and see what Tony. I should have written down like all of the ones behind Kelce, who was tied with the 4th most at 5 straight, but also already has the record with 7 straight. So yeah, I need to go back and check that. Let's go to Dan next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Dan, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
Sports, please.
All right, we got that question out there in NFL. We have some plenty of other questions there. We've got TaylorMade and we've got some Chiefs opener questions.
Let's go general NFL.
General NFL for you. Okay, so I don't know if this is petty or not, but we'll go with it. This current NFL quarterback is the first in NFL history to attempt at least 150 passes in his team's first 4 games of a season and average fewer than 5 yards per attempt.
You might have to read that one again.
So I started it by saying, I don't know if this is petty or not, but I'm still going to do it. This current NFL quarterback is the first in NFL history to have at least 150 pass attempts in his team's first 4 games of a season and average fewer than 5 yards per attempt.
Let's go with Justin Fields.
Oh, no, it's not Justin Fields. That's not Justin Fields. Yeah. Unfortunately, because of the Denver Broncos game this last week, Justin Fields certainly ballooned his average a little bit. Dan, thank you for playing, man. 913-3-810-810. Are you on the scent of what I was going with?
I think so. There's a secondary answer that I needed to hear the question again so I could rule out a second one that's also a hilarious answer, but I think I know where you're going.
Okay, very good. Let's go to Shane next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Shane, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Leisure, please.
Which category? We got IMDb TV, the Spelling Bee, Taylor Swift, and Vikings trivia.
IMDb TV, please.
Okay. This is just the description here. The continuing misadventures of a neurotic New York Cityan and his equally neurotic New York City friends.
Wow. I think I was just watching some episodes of this last night on Netflix. It's got to be. Is it Seinfeld?
It's Seinfeld. That's absolutely right. I took out the word comedian from the description as well because I didn't want to make it too easy. But you're right there. Jerry Seinfeld and being neurotic. Name a more iconic duo.
Show about nothing. Seinfeld? The Zone.
I am sort of surprised it didn't work the show about nothing thing into the description, but it didn't. And you're going over to the sports side.
On the sports side, we've got some Chiefs opener questions. We've got NFL, including general and Chiefs questions, and we have tailor-made. These are questions about NFL players that have a first or last name that is Taylor.
Yeah, that general NFL question that was the gentleman before me.
Yes,
that one's out.
That is still out there. Yep, if you would like that one. Do you know what quarterback that is?
I think I do. Right when you were saying that, I was thinking of a guy, and you also did your hint. I think helped me because none of us touched him around here. I want to say Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is correct. Joe Burrow is the first quarterback in NFL history to attempt at least 150 passes in his team's first 4 games and average fewer than 5 yards per attempt. Joe Burrow.
Ice cold.
He has started off pretty cold this year. That is a different description of what others have used to describe him. On to Leisure.
He already got Leisure, so he's on to Johnny's.
On to Johnny's with Dylan. There you go.
There you go.
Shane, we will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, guys. Super duper.
Love it every time. The only other quarterback I had in mind that he didn't hit 150 yet is I know Derek Carr had a very short field game last week, but he's averaging 6.2 yards per attempt on 124 attempts. So.
Did you see the stat on Alvin Kamara?
No.
So Alvin Kamara had 13 receptions for 30 yards. It is the fewest yards receiving on 13 or more receptions in NFL history. The previous low was 71.
How is that possible?
I mean, Derek Carr's got a shoulder injury.
Yes!
And Jameis Winston is there.
He's right there.
What are you doing having Derek Carr just throw little dump-offs to Alvin Kamara? Chris Olave had 1 catch for 5 yards.
I don't think I watched a second of that game live, and I don't feel bad about it. But I was basically wondering that is like, how little do you think of Jameis Winston if Derek Carr with a non-functioning AC joint is your quarterback option of choice?
13. That is
13 for 30
PPR stud.
Yes,
for Kamara, but if you are not in a PPR league, Kamara didn't do much for you at all in that game. 13 receptions, 30 yards. Let's go to Travis next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Travis, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
Sports.
All right, we got TaylorMade, we got NFL, we got Chiefs openers.
Was the consecutive TDs for the Chiefs question answered?
That is still out there. That one is still out there. Would you like that question?
Was it any TDs? Was it receiving, rushing?
It was specifically receiving. So 5 straight games, Travis Kelce had that snapped against the Jets, including the playoffs last year, of a touchdown reception in a game, 4th most in Chiefs history. Kelce is already tied for first with the most consecutive games with a touchdown reception with 7 straight. And then name either of the other 2 players with more than the 5 straight that Travis Kelce had. One of them tied with Kelce with 7 straight. Another one had 6 straight games with a touchdown reception.
Wow, that kind of buffaloes it. I was thinking McKinnon, but he only had 5 last year, right?
Oh, he did? Oh, I thought.
Maybe it was. Okay, then I like your stuttering there. Let's go McKinnon.
Oh, it was Jerick McKinnon. Well done, Jerick McKinnon. Yes, he had 6 straight games with a touchdown reception last year. 6 straight for Jerick McKinnon, and tied for first with Travis Kelce.
Crazy.
It was not Tony Gonzalez, but the previous attempt at it did name the player.
Oh, what?
The Bo Show.
Ah, yes.
The randomness of Dwayne Bowe playing on a team for an entire season that did not throw a touchdown to a wide receiver, while also Dwayne Bowe having the most consecutive games in Chiefs history with a touchdown reception.
That year was magic, man.
Is just a fun little description of Dwayne Bowe's tenure in Kansas City. The highs and lows. Dwayne Bowe 7, Jerick McKinnon 6. Dwayne Bowe and Travis Kelce 7. Jerick McKinnon 6. Travis Kelce 5.
And hey, listen, just for the record, Dwayne Bowe had a lot more highs than lows in Kansas City. He was high a lot more often than he was low.
Yeah, I got to. I did that. Yes, Travis, you'll be importing some Johnny's Tavern, right? Isn't that both sports and leisure? Right. Did you get them both right, Travis, or was that just sports?
No, sorry, he started with sports.
It was just sports.
Sorry,
I
was excited to talk about Dwayne Bowe again.
Yeah.
What leisure category
Previous
do you
caller
like?
was trying to have him do leisure twice. You just only
let you
one
skip
side.
it.
Jeez.
Do you know what category you'd like? IMDb TV, the Spelling Bee, Taylor Swift trivia, Viking trivia.
Let me try to spell something.
Okay.
All right, spell something.
S-O-M-E. Spell quarreling.
What'd you say? Quarreling?
Quarreling.
Like
as in the active form of to quarrel. Yes, like a heated argument.
Quarrel.
Yes. I'm sorry that I pronounced it like a child.
That's okay. Q-U-A... Q-U-A-R-R-E-L-L-I-N-G.
Okay, hold everybody freeze for a second. The list I took quarreling from had double L's. I Googled it to double check because I do this every time now, and quarreling only has one L there. You got the double R's. I'm going to go ahead and leave the double L's for somebody else. No L's for you. We're going to call that a winner, and you're going the Johnnies.
Woohoo, thank you.
You're welcome,
Well
because
done,
I am
Travis.
not confident enough to actually be the final arbiter of spelling things.
Well done, Travis. 913-381-810.
Merriam-Webster says 1L, so that's a win-win for you. The list I pulled it from had 2 L's.
I see.
Is there like a British spelling? I gotta start double checking the ones that might be British. I'll never ask you to spell color.
Yeah, I think it's. I was gonna use 1L, but
the dictionary has 1L here, I think, unless it's in there twice.
I do wonder if that's like the British spelling of quarreling.
On Merriam-Webster for quarreled, they have or. It's double L or single L. But the single L is the one they use first. So I think we're good here.
But
this is when if I was writing this is when I would change it to fought. Fighting.
I mean, I would guess wouldn't quarreled be 2 L's though? Like I feel like quarreling be 1, but oh well.
It lists them both here.
He got the 2 R's. So
that's exactly right. You have the double letter test.
If you don't have the 2 R's, and it'd be quarreling.
Then that would be incorrect.
And that's not.
And we don't want to start a fight around here.
No, not at all. Let's go to Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810. Ryan, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
Let's start with sports, please.
All right, we got tailor-made questions. We've got some Chiefs openers, and we've got some general NFL questions. And I do think there's one more that is a Chiefs-specific one.
We can go tailor-made.
All right, tailor-made for you. Okay. All right, here we go. Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
It took me like a book to write this thing for some reason. It's the exact opposite of this man and Tyreek Hill are the greatest wide receivers in the Chiefs history. So, this Old Dominion quarterback was undrafted in the NFL and actually competed with Mike Kafka, found that out, for the 3rd quarterback spot in Minnesota before the 2015 season. Kafka got hurt, which then had this player make the team, which started his NFL career. It wouldn't be for another 2 years for him to make his NFL debut for the Houston Texans, suffering a concussion on his only pass attempt. Things would improve for him when he ended up in Washington after Alex Smith returned from his injury, but couldn't go at the end of the year. The player would start the playoff game, perform well, go on to start 15 games in the 21 season for Washington, 9 games last year, now a backup quarterback with another team, although fans of this team have been calling for him to replace the starter.
Taylor Heineke.
There we go. That was easy enough, yes. I just wanted to include the first part because I found out last night that he and Mike Kafka were battling for the 3rd quarterback position in Minnesota.
That's insane.
And Mike Kafka was going to get the job, except for he got injured in preseason. So Taylor Heineke then made the team.
Did Kafka play again after that, or was that his last year?
I don't think he played again after that. Yeah. So yeah, that was I got to include that then now. Even though it's going to take me an hour to read the question. But
yeah, it was
don't care.
And Kafka went to Northwestern, right?
Yeah, that's right. Ryan, we will put you on hold and get your congratulations, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't that, or is that, does he need leisure? I'm so lost.
Yeah, I still need one more.
He needs one more. We got to do the leisure side.
Dude, I'm so lost.
It's
man.
okay.
Is it 2 o'clock yet?
It's the day quill. We got to get Jason through 12 more minutes of this, and then we can all go home.
Or maybe it's wearing off. I'm not sure.
That's a good point too. What leisure category do you like?
Good night.
Can you give me the category?
Yeah, we got.
Ryan was so like, okay.
It's
sure.
like, I'll go to Johnny's one answer.
I'd really like to play the game.
What could an IMDb TV spelling be? Taylor Swift, Vikings. Vikings. Name the 3 main countries that make up Scandinavia. There are a couple kind of on the fringe that if you can't get them, I'll count it. So 3 of the 5, but there's 3 main ones.
Norway.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? Norway, Finland, and Sweden.
That we'll take it. Denmark also would have been one of the main 3. Finland and Iceland are sometimes included as well. That's a winner. Those are the full 5, and you're going to Johnny's for real this time.
Well done, Ryan. Thank you, sir. To put them on hold, we'll get information. Take a time out. We'll come back, wrap up the show next. I wrap things up here on this Thursday edition of the show. Coming up tonight, we've got Bears and Commanders, a little Thursday night football, if you're into that sort of thing. And Dylan will be at Johnny's Tavern in Raymore. We know you're into that sort of thing. So coming up today, 4 to 6, Dylan will be there at Johnny's in Raymore with the $3 off burgers, including the burger of the day, giving away 2 tickets to the Chiefs-Broncos game, a Budweiser item, and a signed Travis Kelce picture as well. So how about that for Dylan?
I don't have any leftover questions, but I did learn that the Vikings were perhaps the earliest culture to learn to ice skate by skating on cattle bone blades. How about that?
Yeah. Who amongst us? I did not have any leftover questions either. All of the questions that I had out there were answered correctly. So there you go. We get out of here. We take a 20-hour break. Srim Petra, the program, they come up next. Enjoy it.
Go sleep, Jason.
I will.